Soldier boy, tell.
What up? What's going on tonight? You already know what time it is. It's time to draft some Best Ball Mania. Oh, but wait a second. Do my eyes deceive me? It looks like we're advancing not one, but possibly two, or even three albatross drafts. Let's go. Let me know if anyone in the chat has been drafting this season-long PGA, doing these albatross drafts. But today was cut down day at the US Open. 2 days down, 2 to go. And the teams that advance out of these pods make it to the albatross finals. So I'm pretty pumped on that. What up, Tyler? What up, Bendels? What up, Super Stack Bros? Thanks for being in the chat. Thanks for hanging out tonight. Hope y'all are doing fantastic. 50 subs. Last video I posted from Monday night got 100 views. Breaking records here in the Fantasy Football Garage. I'm Chris the Candyman. Thanks for kicking it tonight. Let's get in one of these drafts. I was going to sneak in one and then I forgot. So, I did this last time too. Going to be drafting at least a couple Best Ball Mania drafts tonight on stream. Cool. 4 more people to start. Yeah, I've had some pretty good drafts so far this week. I ended up with all the new tournaments that have dropped. I've been pretty focused on doing just a couple Best Ball Mania drafts, keeping up that pace, doing a few of those per day. So I haven't been going too hard into any of the Superflex tournaments. We had the Poodle that closed earlier in the week, and then now the Pug is out, the Dalmatian. I tried to enter a Dalmatian draft last night, and it didn't fill for almost an hour, which I couldn't believe. So I pretty much just gave up, drafted Best Ball Mania 5. Still waiting on 2 people in this room to kick this first draft off. And you already know what the plan is tonight. We're drafting the most elite tight ends. Only the most elite. Not those middle tier elite tight ends. Just the top of the best, the most elite tight ends. Which, I was checking out my exposures. Mark Andrews is my top drafted tight end. I think that's like 26 or 24% exposure. A guy I need to get more of, I think, could be definitely getting some more Dalton Kincaid and Josh Allen stacks. I'm pretty sure I've got Lamar on a good amount of those where I have Mark Andrews. And a lot of the other ones I have CJ Stroud as well. Who else have I really liked at elite tight end? Not as much Kyle Pitts, but probably going to be just under 8% exposure to Kyle Pitts, I would think. And then as far as Kelsey, I've got like 12% Kelsey right now, and that's just a little bit of variance, but I have been taking him, especially when I start off with 3 wide receivers, and then Kelsey's there in like the 4th round. That was a first-round pick last year. I think it's still good value. Waiting on one more to start this Best Ball Mania 5 draft. And I think this is my Best Ball Mania like 37 or something. I'm working up towards the 40s. I think after this weekend, I'll probably knock out another 5 or 6, and so I'll be in those low 40s. Seems like a decent pace. Cool. The draft starting. I'm going to be drafting out of the 6th spot on this one. We got Legalize at 420 in the room. And yeah. Usually in the 6th spot, you could obviously go Bijan there. or Brees. But I think I still like Amon-Ra and Justin Jefferson, whichever is available. I'm always happy to start with the wide receiver in the first round and then build something out around that. It just gives you way more options. Although Bijan can be pretty nice for stacking up, not only with Kirk Cousins, which I've done a ton of, and I feel like I probably want a little bit less Kirk Cousins, but also Jaden Daniels, who I've been really building up my exposure to Jaden Daniels. I think I've got like 14% Jaden Daniels, and a lot of those are starting with a Bijan or if Drake London's there at the right spot in the second round. Occasionally Kyle Pitts. But anyways, when you start with those 3 wide receivers and then potentially even take an elite tight end with your 4th pick, like we're probably going to do tonight based on where we are in the draft with our 4th pick around pick 45, that's kind of prime territory to grab the back end of the top of the elite tight ends. So starting off with wide receivers and then another pass catcher like a tight end in the 4th round just gives you so many different outs for quarterback. I mean, that's if you're maximizing the different stacks you could make, you could have up to 8 different quarterbacks that could stack either a game stack in week 17 or a team stack. So AJ Brown, I was trying to figure out which player went that kind of threw off the draft for me to get Jet at 6 overall. Starting off with Justin Jefferson out of the 6th spot. The guy in the 5th spot took AJ Brown. I think it's a little unique. This is a Best Ball Mania 5 draft, so it's a little bit of a reach based on ADP. But, take your guys. Maybe he's going to try to get a late Jalen Hurts around pick 29 or so. No, that'd be early actually. Around pick 44 in the 4th round. See what this guy's up to. In my first round exposures, I'm definitely lowest on Garrett Wilson. I've got a fair amount of Puka because I'll take Puka over Garrett Wilson every time. I think I'm a little underexposed to CeeDee Lamb. I think I've only picked from the 2 spot twice. Justin Jefferson's fun because, he's got this huge season-long ceiling for his scoring and touchdown scoring. I think he's pretty much quarterback proof. So even if Sam Darnold starts off for a couple of weeks, I think J.J. McCarthy can be just fine. Regardless of the fact that you have a rookie quarterback and kind of a not a great quarterback situation, I think Justin Jefferson can still put up numbers any game that he just gets loose on a defense. And the Packers secondary in week 17, honestly, not bad, but I'd have to look at some splits. I feel like Justin Jefferson kind of struggles against the Packers, but I'd have to look more into that. Marvin Harrison, Drake London at the turn in the 12th spot. So this would be a fun team to build out around either. It really depends. There's a few. I've been taking a lot of Jalen Hurts and then grabbing like a rookie QB, but the issue there is a lot of these rookies, like a Drake May or even J.J. McCarthy, there's a slight risk that they're not going to be the starter by week 5 when Jalen Hurts has his bye. And so there's a slight risk by not taking a quarterback like pairing Bryce Young with Jalen Hurts, someone who's for sure going to be that starter. There's a little bit of a risk that you could have a bye week issue with one of your elite quarterbacks if you pair them up with a rookie QB who might not be the immediate starter. So that's something I've been kind of reviewing some of my teams where I'm doing these 2 QB builds and going to be trying to avoid that going forward. It kind of also applies to Justin Fields. Like I saw a team that I had drafted was Jalen Hurts and Justin Fields, but now I'm realizing, okay, with the week 5 bye, Jalen Hurts is going to be out, on his bye week early in the season, and Justin Fields might not be the starter by week 5, and so it's kind of a risk for taking a 0 at the QB position, which is usually the highest or the second highest position you've got in a given week. So that's not really ideal. Back on the clock, Jonathan Taylor, Devon Achane go right before me. I think that's totally fine. Gibbs was falling for a bit there. Of course, I'm going Nico Collins with this pick. Nico Collins is my wide receiver 8. So he's pretty much the top wide receiver I'm taking in the second round. And I love pairing him up with Jet. So I've got Jet and Nico with my first 2 picks. I'm loading up on elite alpha wide receivers. I also like Devontae Adams at that pick, 19. Could have gone with Devontae there too, but solid start. The Tyreek Hill drafter takes Jalen Waddle, so you already know what he's cooking up. And then the Bijan team was actually the team that took Achane, so I don't hate that start. It's very bold based on Achane's current ADP, but I mean that could be fire if he can build out the right wide receivers from here on out and doesn't get buried. It's looking like he's about to get buried, though. I mean, more than half the room has 2 wide receivers through 2 rounds. There's so many combinations with Christian McCaffrey at the 2-3 turn that it's kind of hard to know what's going to be like the most chalky 1, 2, 3 picks out of that spot. I think when I have the 1 spot, I'm not really trying to force anything. I want to get a little bit of ADP value and then just kind of diversify that build out from Christian McCaffrey. I definitely have taken McCaffrey and Debo together maybe earlier in the summer, but I don't think that's where I would prefer to go. I like taking Malik Neighbors a lot right there with McCaffrey. On the clock, I think Devonta Smith's a pretty great pick here. Zay Flowers could be good. It's a little bit early, but I've taken him here before. Also could go Steph Diggs. I think I'm going to go Devonta Smith. Let me take Diggs. This is something I did, it might have even been last night when I was drafting off stream. I think I was in like the 7 spot. Or no, I had Puka on this team. So I was somewhere after Bijan and Brees had gone. Let's just say it's the 9 spot. I go Puka, Nico Collins, and then I get Tank Dell. And then I did draft CJ Stroud. The Stephon Diggs drafter, I think, took Mahomes and ended up not taking Stroud. So he fell to me. Would that be like pick 57 or... I think that's where I took him. It might have been 64. I don't think I pushed him around the corner, but getting Stroud a little bit past ADP or just right where you need him after you've got 2 Texans receivers, that's nice. It's kind of like landing Dalton Kincaid after you've already drafted Josh Allen. All right, this is kind of wild. The guy in the 5 spot, he reaches up for A.J. Brown. Get your guys in the first round, okay. Takes Devontae Adams, which I think is a great second round pick, and then he also takes Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts, quarterback of the Eagles, in the 3rd round. It's not terrible, but it's kind of forced at this spot in the draft. So that's the kind of team I like to build out maybe over here around like the 10-11 spot. And it makes just as much sense. You can get all of these same players over here as well. So I think you're just kind of missing out on the opportunity to take Justin Jefferson if you're going to reach for the A.J. Brown stack way up on this side of the draft. But hey, if you feel like A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts give you an edge, then and you're trying to really juice up your exposure to that combo, then I can see how that makes sense. And then pairing him with another elite alpha pass catcher, Devontae Adams. Be interested to see where he goes to this 4th pick. Highly unlikely that Devonta Smith ever would have made it back to him, so that's who I was between. I was between Diggs and Smith. Let's just see if I can pull something off in this spot. Now that the Tank Dell drafter is behind me, I can have the first swing in the 5th round at getting CJ Stroud, if that's how I want to play it. It looks like Lamar Jackson might be there with my next pick at pick 42. The Laporta drafter takes Josh Allen, which I think is a really interesting way to play Josh Allen, is pair him up with like Kelsey or Laporta. That might give you some leverage against what's expected to be pretty common in the Josh Allen, Dalton Kincaid stack, although it's not that easy to pull off these days. Christian Kirk goes. That's how you know the wide receivers are flying off the board. I could go Trey McBride here. I can go Lamar Jackson, try to get Stroud on the way back. This would be a sweet build, getting Lamar Jackson and then Mark Andrews. So I'm going to leave Trey McBride there for someone else to take. Go ahead and take Lamar here, where even if I don't get Mark Andrews, Lamar Jackson's pretty sweet on his own. So that's how I'm going to play this one. Obviously could have waited for Stroud, but now I'm building out around Lamar Jackson. Fingers crossed I can get Mark Andrews. We'll nail down our elite tight end. I felt like there's a pretty good chance he'll come back around just because I left Trey McBride out there for those. Spoke too soon. Man. That's all right. I still have some other ideas about how to build out that game stack without Mark Andrews or Zay Flowers. See, another option there, I could have gone Zay Flowers over Stephon Diggs, but I just felt like for this build, I wanted to go through the Texans. Let me just double check. Lamar's bye week is bye week 14, of course, and then 6 for Minnesota.
Soldier boy, tell.
Yep. And then Jordan Love is 10. So this still works. See if we can catch some value here falling to us pick 54. Dang, George Kittle goes at pick 48. So elite tight ends are getting steamed up. There's a word on the street. Somehow Dalton Kincaid's still available. I don't know how I like that. Lamar Jackson with Dalton Kincaid, that's kind of an interesting combo. I like Pacheco here. There goes Pacheco. 2 into mine. I guess this is where Kincaid goes to the Jalen Hurts drafter, which is one way to play it. And then I'll take either Worthy. I don't love James Cook here. It's all right. It's an all right pick. So he takes Worthy. I'll take Kincaid. Or I go Josh Jacobs. If I go Josh Jacobs, take a running back here. No, who am I kidding? Today, it's an elite tight end type of day. Dalton Kincaid at pick 54. Slight value. I think he generally goes above that. For a while there, he was definitely going in the 4th round. But we see Mark Andrews and George Kittle don't make it to the 5th round. So I've taken my detour away from wide receiver. I went Lamar Jackson, Dalton Kincaid, my last 2 picks. Got a nice little week 17 correlation going with 3 of my first 5 picks. And then potentially could have the number 1 overall wide receiver in Jet, the number 1 tight end maybe in Dalton Kincaid. Probably not, but maybe just a guy you really need in the playoff weeks. And maybe you don't need him with Josh Allen either. And maybe Lamar Jackson can outscore Josh Allen in those weeks on the ground. Josh Allen has a lot of passing touchdowns to Kincaid or a bunch of yardage. Stroud does go to the Tank Dell team, so he gets a nice little value there. I think this is where we're starting to see Stroud is going to... I don't know if he falls to the 6 so often, but it's getting closer and closer as he kind of falls to the back of the 5th round, because naturally he's going to settle around the drafters who take Zay Flowers, Tank Dell, or Diggs. If Diggs keeps falling back towards the back of the 3rd round, maybe Tank Dell moves up a little bit. I've seen a lot of people talking about how they'll take Tank Dell over Steph Diggs, and I can see both sides of it. So I'm just going to kind of take the players where they fall today and then just continue to kind of, I think for the players that I still like, I mean, if I'm going to lean into the Texans, I don't mind taking a Steph Diggs there, even though my initial bet's on Nico Collins. Just betting on the Texans in general, something I can get behind, whether it's Dell or Diggs. I can see situations where either one could pay off. Obviously, Diggs has been elite for a long time. Dell had a great rookie season. Yo, what up, Raphael? Hope you're having a great night, my man. Drafting a Best Ball Mania 5. You already know what time it is. And this team's looking pretty decent. I think this is kind of par for the course for me. I have 2 Texans through the first 5 rounds. Started off with Justin Jefferson, Nico Collins, Steph Diggs. Almost went Devonta Smith. Almost went Tank Dell. Almost went Zay Flowers, actually. Came back around. Jumped on Lamar Jackson. I was hoping Mark Andrews could fall, but because Andrews and Kittle go a little early, I get Dalton Kincaid. And now it's coming back around to me for my pick in the 6th round, 67 overall. Let's see. James Cook's fun now because I almost took him with my latest pick, and now I can actually get a little team stack going on with Kincaid. So maybe he'll fall. If not, can go Jordan Addison. Could be a fun way to play this. I don't mind Kenneth Walker. Rashad White's just fine. Yeah, he goes Cook. I already knew he was going to take Cook. How do I want to play this, though? I think Jordan Addison would be a pretty fun way to play this. The running backs that are going to be available, I like all the running backs across the next few rounds. Let me take Addison here, kind of reach up for him a little bit. I'm not crazy about Rashad White. I've got plenty of Kenneth Walker, so... keep hammering wide receiver. I've got 4 wide receivers through 6 rounds. I've got an elite tight end. I've got an elite QB. I'm probably going to go with more of a 0 running back build. Still a chance I can get one of these back of the kind of end of what I would call RB1 weekly ceiling guys in this tier. It's going to dry up pretty soon. I think it finishes right before Zach Moss. Maybe James Conner slides in there too. But it's just a different tier. Once you get back there, it's more of a 0 running back build than a hero running back build. It would have been funny if Aaron Jones fell all the way back to me just because I'm taking another Vikings player. Maybe a little bit overkill. So it's fine that he goes. I've got plenty of exposure to Aaron Jones. He's one of my top drafted running backs. I think Rome Odunze is a guy I've consistently taken ahead of Jordan Addison. And so in this draft, because I've already got Justin Jefferson, and I'm really feeling like I want to bet on the Vikings now, and they're going to be just fine as an offense going forward, then I don't mind taking Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison on the same team at all. And there's still plenty of Packers on the board. I could take Christian Watson here. I don't have a great way to play through Burrow or Murray. I don't really need them. I don't really need Ingram. Hopkins is fine. Ramondre Stevenson could be a good pick here. I'm going to keep pushing running back. I'm going to take Christian Watson here. Five through the first 7 rounds. I'm going to chill out at wide receiver for a bit because to me, Christian Watson, and usually Hopkins goes before him, but I took Watson a bit early. This is kind of the end of a big cliff, getting to more of a range in the draft, round 8, 9, 10, where you want to be taking a lot more running backs, quarterbacks potentially. You could also get some of these non-elite mid-tier tight ends if that's how you want to play, but it's all about elite tight ends. If you know anything else about how to draft, just take elite tight ends. And only the elite tight ends, not these middle tier tight ends like Evan Ingram. I like Evan Ingram though. I've got plenty of Evan Ingram. Yeah, Christian Watson's nice here because I'm kind of expecting, what is that pick? I'm jumping back and forth, but pick 91 and then pick 103. I'm cool with, I don't want to take Jordan Love at 91 if I don't have to. Because potentially if Kyler Murray and Dak are still there, then I'm jumping around, but it's like Jordan Love could make it back to the pick 102, and I don't have to have him on this team since I already have Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson's bye is week 14, so it's a really good player to line up with a JJ McCarthy, who might not be starting for who knows how long, the first couple weeks at least. One thing I was mentioning at the beginning of the stream was I was reviewing a lot of my Best Ball Mania teams so far, especially the ones where I've got an elite QB and then only took one other QB, and a lot of times it ended up being one of those rookies like a Drake May or a lot of JJ McCarthy. The issue there is with Jalen Hurts week 5 bye, if those rookies aren't starting at that time, you could take a 0 at QB, and that's really going to hurt. So it's not great for advancing out of your pod when you lowered your weekly ceiling and floor one week by up to 15, 20 points. So that could be the difference. A lot of the times, if your team is really that good, then you're going to advance out of your pod anyways. So it's not the end of the world, but just one thing that kind of can break ties for which quarterbacks you're targeting to line up with your elite QB. So in this case, Lamar Jackson, week 14 bye, you can pretty much line him up with any QB2 that you expect to be playing later in the season, like these rookies. But of course, you got Bo Nix and Drake May on a bye week 14. So that's just one more wrinkle in this QB puzzle for this season. These bye weeks have been killer. Week 12, week 14, I can't stand it. And I want to draft so many players in those weeks because I've been drafting a ton of Ravens, a ton of Texans. Patriots are easy to get late. Broncos are easy to get late. Commanders are week 14. All of the rookies. It's like so many of the rookie quarterbacks. Okay, now that Joe Burrow, Kyler, and Dak have gone, I would take Jordan Love here. It's kind of crazy. Ramondre and Jalen Warner are still there. And guys I definitely would want as my RB1 in this case. So I think what I do is I'm going to risk it. I'm going to look at the board real quick, see if I can determine where Jaden Reed went, and he doesn't have a quarterback yet. I'm gonna go ahead and take a running back here. I'm pretty sure the draft out of the one spot who has Jaden Reed and no QBs and has built out this pretty sick team with Kittle, Debo, McCaffrey. He's definitely going to be eyeing Purdy, and so there's a chance there that he actually takes Purdy over Jordan Love, unless Jordan Love come back to me. And who knows what these guys in the middle between us are going to do. You know, one guy's got Mahomes, one guy's got Hurts, so there's a chance. I'd put it at like a 25-30% chance Jordan Love comes back to me at 102 when I almost took him at 91. You see the run on running backs going one after another, 6 straight RBs. Let's make it a 7th to round out the 8th round. Bindles, what up, brother? Balcony Bindles, man, you've been killing it this week. Bunch of streams. Love the view from the balcony. Good stuff. What's the Candyman backstory? Oh, that's just like a nickname. Yeah, my last name's Candelari, and so you get Candyman out of that pretty quickly. A name that a bunch of high school friends gave me, and then also in college. And it goes around too, like, I've got a brother, and when he was playing sports, you know, Candyman was also his nickname, Candy. And then, yeah, it's kind of like a family name thing. Yeah, Bindles, for sure. We got to work that schedule out. Make it happen, I'm sure, real soon. It'll be cool. And look at that. He takes Brock Purdy. Fingers crossed. Let's get Jordan Love. Yes, come on. He's going to fall back to us. Come on. Pick 102. Let's do it. Look at all these running backs going. Tyler Lockett, definitely been a riser. He goes in the 8th round a lot more often these days. Where he should go, I would take Lockett anywhere around Cortland Sutton or Jamison Williams. So nice. Okay, yeah. You know, I was going to ask you. I was always thinking Bindles had to be last name related, I thought. So makes sense. What up, Meatwad? How you doing, man? Hope you're having a great Friday night. I can't believe it's Friday. It's been a really long week. I've been traveling all week, so I just got back in town, fired up the stream. Gonna be drafting at least a couple drafts tonight, maybe more. We'll see. James Conner goes. This is exactly what I thought was gonna happen. If I would have taken Jordan Love at pick 91, it wouldn't have been the end of the world. It would have been just fine. But instead, I take my first running back, and all of these other running backs go between my last pick and my current pick. Jordan Love's still there. Oh, Brock Bowers is there. Okay. Do we push Jordan Love even further? I don't think so. I can take Jordan Love here. But, man, Bowers at 102 is pretty sweet. Is he elite tight end? You tell me. Is Bowers an elite tight end? Is he the last elite tight end then? That's the tier? Does that make Jake Ferguson and David Njoku elite? I think David Njoku's pretty underrated tight end. He was going a lot later in drafts last year, so, I mean, he's definitely risen up, but it doesn't mean that he's overvalued. Meatwad says, all my homies hate the week 14 bye. Yep. If you're taking a lot of Texans, Ravens, Broncos, Commanders, I'm taking a lot of Commanders. Bindle says home away night streams. That's an idea. For sure. Yeah, Meatwad, love to see him in the chat. Thanks for sticking around, coming in, kicking it. This is the first draft of the night. I think, yeah, it's my first draft of the day, too. I'd made some of my slow draft picks earlier in the day, but pretty much just got set up at my desk, and it's time to draft. I was saying earlier, I tried to do a Dalmatian last night, and it didn't fill within, like, the end of an hour that I was waiting for it to fill, so Did a Best Ball Mania 5 last night. Haven't started my Dalmatians yet. And then I haven't jumped into the pug yet. And I'm not really interested in Superflex right now. I would have been more interested in the Superflex drafts during the big board, like the big board Superflex like last season. But now when it's in the middle of drafting Best Ball Mania teams, I feel like Superflex just kind of throws me off a little bit, especially when Dynasty's already come and gone.
Soldier boy, tell.
I know. All I've been talking about tonight so far, besides elite tight ends meet, is how much it sucks to have Week 14 players' buys all stacking up. I'm constantly running into this issue. Commanders, Texans, Ravens, Patriots. It's like all of the rookie quarterbacks, essentially, it feels like they're all on Week 14 bye, except for J.J. McCarthy, who now I'm not going to really need. But I do need to figure out how I'm going to get some more Packers on this squad. Romeo Doubs goes quite early. Sometimes he comes back around that 10th pick. Could reach on Wicks here. I've done it before. I don't love doing it though, so I think I'm going to keep looking at what's available. Huge fan of Adonai Mitchell. Just another Week 14 guy. Trevor Lawrence goes off the board. It's getting a little thin at running back. I could go running back here. Chase Brown. I'm fine with that. I'll do Chase Brown. Just need to start building out a little bit more upside in my running back room before it gets too thin. Like, I don't mind taking 2 late running backs, but I definitely want to have some guys that I think Chase Brown's one of those guys that could rise, maybe a round or 2 with great news if he really takes over that backfield. And maybe later in the season he just naturally has a bigger role than Zach Moss. I found myself taking a lot more Chase Brown than Zach Moss, and I probably need to kind of get more even on my exposure to them. Yo, Super Stack Bros. Appreciate that, my man. Appreciate you chilling in the chat, hanging tonight. It's a chill vibe, just drafting this Best Ball Mania 5. We did it. The goal of the night, and we'll do it again, was to get an elite tight end. That's the theme today. If you don't have an elite tight end, then good luck, buddy. And it's not just good enough to have an elite tight end. You have to have a top elite tight end. You can't just come out here with an Evan Ingram, Jake Ferguson, and, Kyle Pitts, George Kittle, apparently questionable elite tight ends. Raphael, thanks for chilling, man. Good to see you in the chat. Hope everyone's having a nice Friday, getting ready for the weekend. Hope you got some good weekend plans. Hope you got some time to draft, too. I'm making time. We're out here late on a Friday night, and this is the perfect time to draft. The house is quiet. Everyone else is asleep. Dogs around here somewhere. And look at this. 2 wide receivers go in round 9. All the rest running backs, quarterbacks. Brock Bowers goes. Then 3 wide receivers in round 10. This is why I started so strong on wide receiver, and why now I'm kind of just taking my pick at getting the, who I think is of value that's going to fall to me at running back. Even though I reached a little bit on Chase Brown. Dang, we're already at the point where it's like Kendre Miller, though. Zeke Elliott. I'm going to go Mitchell here, most likely. I could do something here with Mike Williams, kind of playing into that Dalton Kincaid game stack, but I'd rather go Mitchell, especially past ADP. Surprisingly, first rookie wide receiver I'd taken to this point in the draft, so I think it's good to mix in really strong wide receiver room, but it's pretty concentrated on 4 players on 2 teams. We'll see, though. I think Minnesota could still come out throwing the ball a good amount. I know they've got Aaron Jones, Ty Chandler lined up for their backfield, but who knows? I know McCarthy didn't throw it a ton at Michigan. He didn't have to. I'm curious to know how good the Vikings defense is going to be. Not something I've really researched or looked into enough yet, but I think it'd be interesting. That division, the NFC North, has gotten sometimes it's been run heavy, sometimes it's been pass heavy throughout the years. I think it's a little bit more it could be more pass heavy this year. So you could get some shootout games in the NFC North, and that's what I'm looking forward to when I've drafted Jordan Love and Christian Watson to face off against Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, Week 17 game against the Packers. And I'm pretty sure it's in Minnesota, if I'm not mistaken, right? It's Green Bay at Minnesota in a dome. So I had taken 2 running backs and a quarterback. I break through with another wide receiver, Adonai Mitchell, a little bit past ADP. I'm starting to build up a little bit of a bye week issue in week 14, especially if I'm going to take any more players on the Ravens, which I need to do because right now I don't have anyone stacked up with Lamar. And ideally, I'm going to want 1 or 2 players on the Ravens, 1 or 2 pass catchers that I could line up with him. There's a few options left. Hawkinson could have been an interesting pick. I have not taken a lot of Hawk. Around pick 139, it doesn't feel great. If he was there at 150, I would definitely grab him. So let's see. I think I still want to go running back here. Kind of had my eyes on Kendre or Rico. Obviously, Ty Chandler is another good pick. Marshawn Lloyd. I think I've got a lot of good picks here. Is it better to go Marshawn Lloyd? I think it is. I want to go Marshawn Lloyd and take another Packer. Continue my bet on the Green Bay Packers versus taking Ty Chandler here. I think I'm covered on Vikings. Kendre's a fine pick, but doesn't really play into this team makeup as much, you know. And then Rico's fine, but Rico's interesting because he could take on a bigger role later in the season. I'm pretty confident though. I think Zeke will stick around, and Zeke usually stays pretty healthy, so I think the best pick for me there is to go Marshawn Lloyd. The best part about going elite tight end in my mind, and especially because it's a onesie position, tight end and QB, if you can take care of those positions earlier in the draft, before you get to your picks 14 plus, it takes a little bit of pressure off to have to find another quarterback that, especially if you've already got the stacks built out like I have, or I usually try to do. It can really suck if you're waiting on one of these rookies or these late quarterback options that tend to fall that somebody could take him as their QB3, even uncorrelated. A lot of times drafters are taking quarterbacks at ADP or a little bit past ADP, even if they don't need to take those quarterbacks. Definitely something that happens a lot with Kirk Cousins, Stafford. I think not as much with Watson and Aaron Rodgers. They can fall a good amount. But even with Baker Mayfield, sometimes Geno, I've seen Geno, he's been falling a little bit more. Obvious pick here. Tucker Kraft has been injured. He's not currently practicing. Oh, I never checked to see where Wicks went. I kind of got distracted and I don't think I had a chance to get him. Did I? No. Yes. Yeah, I took Mitchell over Wicks. Is that right? Yeah. Oh well. Could have taken Wicks there. Probably would have been a good idea. But also getting Marshawn Lloyd and Luke Musgrave doesn't hurt. Already got Christian Watson. So didn't have to have Wicks. Anyways, I was saying Tucker Kraft is not really practicing right now. He had like a pec injury. I didn't really hear a lot of details around that. I don't know if it was something that needed like a procedure done. I didn't think so. I think he's just like rehabbing it off on the side. So it's something you don't like to hear. I've been taking a good amount of Tucker Kraft in the big board, decent amount in these kind of early May best ball mania drafts. But I've stopped taking so much Tucker Kraft because of the injury news. I do think by the end of the season, he could be just fine. And, it was Musgrave who also, I'm pretty sure it was Musgrave who had some injury, had to miss some games last year. And that's what gave Tucker Kraft the ability to get on the field a little bit more. So tight end position, tons of injuries. But let me check one more thing. I'm pretty sure, yeah, bye week 12, bye week 10. For Musgrave and Dalton Kincaid. We're good. I'm done at tight end, most likely. Unless I do take Isaiah Likely. That could be another option there. Keep an eye on that. Try not to forget. Probably also I'm done at quarterback. So I'm done with my tight end and quarterback. At least I've got them both covered through my first 13 rounds. I'm feeling really good at wide receiver. I've got 5 wideouts. I've got 3 running backs. I've got a rookie and sophomore in my RB rotation for some upside. We'll see though. I don't know a ton about Marshawn Lloyd coming out of USC. He's playing with Caleb Williams, right? So I feel like that USC team was underwhelming last season. They really got beat out by Oregon State, I'm pretty sure, and then they definitely lost to Washington, maybe even Utah State. I think they were 7-5. Underwhelming. But you see a lot of those players get drafted too. Obviously Caleb Williams. The 13th round and the 14th round are really kind of interesting right now. I think it's a great time to grab your tight end too. The tight end options in the super late rounds are not as attractive as they've been in past years. Definitely something I'd noticed early on and didn't really adjust my drafting strategy until probably last week or two, that I'm more focused on, even if I don't get an elite tight end, like a top tight end in one of the first 5 rounds, I'll still typically want to have 2 tight ends by around this point, 13, 14. And look who's available. Hunter Henry, I think, is the last of the guys that I really feel good about. The only time I take Sinnott is when he correlates, so I get a lot of Jaden Daniels. But I try to pair up Jaden Daniels with McLaurin so that I don't have to take Sinnott. I don't honestly have a lot of Otten because I don't have a lot of Baker Mayfield or really a lot of Panthers. I've been drafting a ton of Panthers either except for Jonathan Brooks. So something else I could kind of potentially kind of correct for a little bit. Bucky Irving could be interesting. Trying to see if there's anyone else I'd want here. Not exactly on wide receiver. So I'm going to go Bucky Irving there. The running back room definitely feels thin. Usually that ends up being a good thing. If I feel like I'm loaded everywhere else, wide receiver, tight end, QB, and my only weak spot on my team is my running back room, usually that's a good signal. That means that we've drafted a really strong team. If a few of these running backs can outproduce their ADP, maybe takes over the lead role in their backfield, I don't think there's a great chance that Chase Brown, Marshawn Lloyd, and Bucky Irving all overtake their backfield, their other running back mate. But the chance that one of them does, I think we're starting to get there. So we've got some upside at running back. Definitely could be a draft considering I've got 4 running backs through 14 rounds. Could stop at 5. I need to check my bye weeks. Just double check that. Yeah, I could still stop at 5 running backs if I take another one soon. Otherwise could go 6 because I don't think I'm going to end up taking that 3rd tight end or 3rd QB. So I'm going to have an extra position to play with. So might as well go 6 running backs. Probably 8 wideouts. JJ McCarthy could always just fall right into my lap, and I end up taking him with one of these last 2 picks. So I'd probably do that. So let's check this team. The team that was in the 5th spot right in front of me takes AJ Brown, Devontae Adams, Jalen Hurts. So a little bit of a reach on Brown and Hurts. But then comes back with Pickens and Worthy. That's a great combo. Gets some value on White. Takes Keon. It's fine. Swift, a little bit of value. Jaden Daniels is a nice pick. Goddard's great, actually. Right at ADP and stacked up with his quarterback. He gets Dotson, Miller, Algier, who's his bring back for his Jaden Daniels Commanders. Pretty decent team, honestly. On the clock. Not a bad place to take wide receiver. Also could reach for Likely. Braylon Allen's there. Oop, Braylon Allen. So probably going... honestly, I still could stop with 5 running backs, even though I've got 3 rookie running backs, all looking like RB2s. A lot of RB2s on this squad. So could go 6, but if I take a 6 running back, then I either need to stop with 7 wide receivers, grab Isaiah Likely as my 3rd tight end. I don't know how I feel about that. We'll see. With one of these next picks, let's go back and look at the board. 3 picks left, 187, 198, and 211. We'll just see what falls. I think I definitely want Tez Walker. I don't have to get Isaiah Likely. It would be nice, though, when you miss out on Mark Andrews, you get a little bit of leverage play by taking Zay Likely. I don't know. What would you do here? Would you take Isaiah Likely and go with 3 tight ends, or just keep the 2 tight ends, grab Tez Walker, potentially give myself the ability, by not taking a tight end, I give myself kind of a better option to come back and get JJ McCarthy still. And I don't think I need 3 QBs, but I've already got the stacks built out. Where did Bateman go? Yeah, Bateman is still there, huh? Where is he? No, he was drafted. I was like, Bateman went. Right in the middle of the screen. So that's what it was. Okay, Bateman went right before I took Bucky Irving, which is why I didn't see him. Otherwise, I would have taken him there. I'm not sure who else in this room is going to want JJ McCarthy. I think even the Hawkinson drafter, I have 2 picks before him. And he's got 2 QBs. The guy in the 1 spot, who he had Jaden Reed, but I don't think he took. Did he get Aaron Jones? No, Aaron Jones went to the Mahomes team, who already took Baker. So I don't feel like I have to take McCarthy with my next pick. It's going to be Tez Walker or Likely. I think Tez Walker here is a better fit. Luckily, just Ramondre on week 14 bye gives me 4, maybe if I take a 5th running back or 6th running back, 4 or 5 guys to cover my flex and my 2 running back starting positions. The thing is, if I end up with 7 wide receivers and I take Tez, I'm going to have 4 on bye, and which is not ideal. So by taking Tez here, I'm pretty much going to commit to taking 8 wide receivers, and I got to take another one who's not going to be out on week 14. So I at least have 4 starters to cover those 3 spots, and then have one of my running backs fill the flex. Hope that works out. I think that's the move here. If I take Tez and Likely comes back around, then I'll probably pass on McCarthy. Grab Likely, potentially, and then get another wide receiver. But the more I think about it, I think I'm going to stay with my 2 tight ends. Now that I've got Tez Walker, I think I'm going to finish this one out. Running back and wide receiver. It just really depends on which running backs are still available and if JJ McCarthy's still there, because I'm going to get tempted to take JJ. Likely goes. That makes me feel better. I'm done at tight end. Honestly, I think Theo Johnson's pretty interesting. I was more on the Bellinger side of the debate until last week, and now I think I'm starting to be on the Theo Johnson side. It's too soon to tell, though. It's not really a great click taking either one of them, but I've got a surprisingly high amount of Daniel Jones, so you still have a lot of wide receiver options late. You don't have to take one of his tight ends. At the same time, if you got a lot of Anthony Richardson. So McMillan's there. I really like McMillan. What about running backs? Pretty sure I'm going McMillan. Everything I've heard about him so far during their practices has been good. the Todd Bowles, Buccaneers coach, was talking up McMillan, and I've been a fan of his since last year when I really started watching the Washington Huskies in preparation for the All-State Sugar Bowl against Texas. I needed to do some background research on the Huskies, and McMillan was just a total guy on their offense. And I think he had a little bit of an issue with injuries last season. He had a bigger 2022 and then had a decent 2023, which is why I think Odunze obviously was probably the best receiver on that team. And then it's a kind of a toss-up between Julian Polk and Jalen McMillan. You see Polk get drafted a little bit higher. In the NFL draft, he also goes a bit higher in ADP, but I'm way in on Jalen McMillan. I want to have a lot of exposure to him. He's super easy to get late. I think he can fit on any team where you need a late wide receiver with upside. $258 build. I'm almost certain I'm going to go running back. If JJ's still there, though, I have to take JJ McCarthy, which is fine because I can stop at 5 running backs. Let me go ahead and queue up some running backs who I might take if JJ's not there. I don't feel great about taking Tyrone Tracy. I'm not a huge believer in him right now. And then I got 4 rookie running backs. It feels like overkill. I think 3 is plenty. So maybe I'm looking at a sophomore to come like Keaton Mitchell, who gives me a little bit more correlation with Lamar, of course, and my Texans. There's not really that many scroll down running backs that I like. Madison is just fine. So there goes McCarthy to the drafter in the 12 spot, huh? What is that? Derek Carr, McCarthy, Kyler Murray? I don't get it. Just takes completely uncorrelated JJ McCarthy. That's fine though. This is probably a stronger team with the 2 QBs that I have. It's a nice little correlation play. I already had all the stack built out, so JJ would fit nicely because I do have Addison and Justin Jefferson. Taking an elite quarterback that early though, you're really kind of potentially betting against him by taking 3 quarterbacks and just wasting more of your roster positions on a onesie position that you assume is going to be filled by your elite QB. But at the same time, you can ping pong back and forth between quarterbacks during the playoff weeks for better advance rates. Maybe JJ McCarthy's that guy you would need in week 16 to get to week 17 to enable Lamar to be there, be lower owned, and then be the guy you need. So there's a lot of ways you can think through it. I don't think there's a wrong or right way this late in the draft to decide between like staying with 2 or taking that 3rd, as long as you've got the stacks built out and you're letting the players fall to you. You're not just like reaching up for them. Then it makes even more sense. Tyrone Tracy goes. I'm on the clock. Taysom Hill went. That's pretty interesting. The team that took Aaron Rodgers and CJ Stroud. Okay. Takes Taysom Hill. That's fun. Keaton Mitchell's the click here. Nice. Cool. Y'all stick around, watch the end of this draft wrapped up. I'm going to grab some water real quick, then I'll get back. We'll do a team recap, review, and then jump into another Best Ball Mania 5 draft. Thanks for hanging out tonight. Glad you're in the chat. We're just vibing. We're going to keep drafting. Back in a sec. Tucker Kraft, the last pick of the draft. Daniel Jones gets drafted. Justin Fields went in the 17th round. Taysom Hill gets drafted. Interesting. This Best Ball Mania 5 draft ended up being a 2-6-8-2 build. Lamar Jackson, Jordan Love in the QB room. Ended up stacking Lamar Jackson with, we have Keaton Mitchell. Also got the bringbacks and Nico Collins and Steph Diggs. Followed up by pass catcher Devontae Walker. So I think that's a pretty fun one. Also have Jordan Love stacked up with Marshawn Lloyd. Bringbacks in Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. Pass catchers Christian Watson, Luke Musgrave. That's a really fun one. I like that game. That's a game I'm leaning to as well. So I've got two of my favorite Week 17 games completely built out around them. I'm going to count up my skill position players that are in that game. So I've got Lloyd 1, Mitchell's 2, Justin Jefferson, Nico, Diggs, Addison, Watson, that's 7, Walker's 8, Musgrave's 9. I've got 9 of my 18 players across 2 games. I like that. It's a pretty heavy concentration. I think that still kind of fits in the plus EV category though, based on the stats that I've seen from the previous Best Ball Manias. I was reading up the article that Leone put out on ETR's website recently. I think it dropped this week or in the last week. And so you should aim to have, I think it was between 5 and 8 or 5 and 9 skill position players and on your team stacked up with your QB and as bringbacks for your Week 17 games. So I've got 9 on this one. And in total, I mean, if you add up Lamar Jackson and Jordan Love, that's 11 of my players across 2 games on 4 teams. So I'm making a huge bet on those. The rest of the squad, Ramondre Stevenson, Chase Brown, that's fine. I don't love that one too, but like I said, when I feel great about my QBs and my wide receivers and my tight end, of course you're not going to feel that great about your running backs. But I took 6 of them. I took Keaton Mitchell, who was a monster when he got the ball in his limited opportunities last season until he got hurt, of course. But yards per carry was insane. Yards per touch was insane. But yeah, Bucky Irving, Braylon Allen. So just some upside rookie picks. Got some sophomores in there as well. A really young running back room. Wide receivers are off the chain. I got Justin Jefferson, Nico Collins, Steph Diggs, Jordan Addison, Christian Watson, Adonai Mitchell, Tez Walker, Jalen McMillan. So 3 rookie wide receivers that I really think have a lot of upside. I believe in, draft a good amount on a lot of my teams. Tight end room, Dalton Kincaid, Luke Musgrave. It's a nice squad. Let's get into another one. And that one filled kind of slowly, actually. Let's see where we're at. I think this room is already filled. Nice. Okay, I was the last one to get in this room. So, looks like if you're trying to join in the chat, my bad. But let's take a look at what we got. So far, I don't recognize really any of these names. Okay. Half badged up. Drafting out of the 4 spot this time. So most likely a chase team. We'll see if maybe Hill falls to us. Draft's gonna be starting soon. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for chilling, vibing, drafting here in the Fantasy Football Garage. I'm Chris the Candyman. Appreciate you being here. Hope you're having a great Friday night. And this is what it is. You already know what time it is. Time to draft all summer long. Best ball teams, Best Ball Mania 5. You know where to find it. Pretty standard start. I'm gonna go Jamar Chase. A lot of fun ways to build out Jamar Chase teams. That's what it's so nice to pick at the front of the first round, because you're gonna get an elite wide receiver or CMC. You potentially have a chance of having the top player in fantasy, and then the value that can fall to you at the end of the second round, and you can pretty much pick your favorite player in the beginning of the third round. It doesn't get much better than that.
Soldier boy, tell.
Best Ball Mania draft. It's probably 38, I think. So sometimes Amon-Ra will go before Justin Jefferson. I think that's a little bit reactionary to how last season ended up. I love Amon-Ra, but I'm still going to take Justin Jefferson ahead of him. I don't want to fade Justin Jefferson. I like Puka at 9. I think that's the right play. Could go A.J. Brown, kind of a toss-up. Taking Drake London and Garrett Wilson that early in the draft, to me, just, I don't know if it's worth it, honestly. I'm about to tweet something out, so let me focus on that. In the draft, A.J. Brown, Marvin Harrison. I wouldn't say that's a unique combo, but getting A.J. Brown at the 12 spots, probably less common. Jalen Waddle goes pick 15. You don't always see that. That's interesting. Pair him up with Drake London. Okay. Something I was talking about on Monday on my stream. You can, I think it makes sense, not necessarily in Best Ball Mania right now, to be reaching across a round to pull a player into a more unique position. So like take Jalen Waddle somewhere early like this, where he, maybe this drafter just believes in Jalen Waddle a lot, like I believe in Nico, and would take him there. But something that you can do in these tournaments that are like time locked, that are going to end soon and aren't going to continue along all summer, to get unique and to build out some more unique combinations, you can reach across a round, maybe round 2 or round 3. To get that combination that's different. But here, maybe he's doing that. Maybe he likes Jalen Waddle. It looks like Nico Collins has fallen to me at pick 21. So just like that, back-to-back drafts with Nico Collins. That's how it goes when you have Nico ranked as high as I do. I love pairing him up with Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. I think a Nico Collins as your wide receiver 2 is one of the strongest starts this year. I think that's a way to go. It looks really fun. I don't want to fade all of the round 2 wide receivers, so I'll still take them occasionally. But right now I'm going hard on Nico. Definitely getting my exposure up. I mean, 2 out of 2 tonight. Cool. Almost my time to pick again. Wow, this is something I was seeing earlier in the summer. Christian McCaffrey, Devon A. Chan, and Sam Laporta go. That's an interesting start. When you go McCaffrey, A. Chan, you're really making a statement. But then going Laporta, taking the first elite tight end at pick 25, a little bit early for me. I like this guy, what he's doing in the 2 spot. A CeeDee Lamb, Devontae Adams, Malik Nabers, that is screaming upside and ceiling to me. That's a really good start. I don't mind Tyreek Evans, DK. I think that's pretty fun too. Jamar, Nico, Diggs. Let's go Smith this time. Could go more. I'm going to go Smith. I take Devonta Smith all over the 3rd round, so I'll take him there, especially considering the way I built out Nico and Diggs last draft. Could have done it again. It's a slightly different combo with Chase over Jefferson, but I'm not looking to have just as much exposure to Diggs as I have Nico, so I don't have to fully commit to the Texans in this build like I did with the last draft after I took 2 Texans wide receivers in my first 3 picks. Now I can still build this out around either Jamar Chase or Devonta Smith and let kind of those options fall to me. Don't box myself in by taking Diggs. Now I'm really committed to getting Lamar Jackson or Stroud. We saw how that played out last time. It was nice getting Lamar Jackson. Couldn't get Mark Andrews to continue to come back around in the 5th. So it worked out fine. I really liked that last team, but how I ended up building it around Justin Jefferson, the Vikings, and the Packers, I think, is what gave that team a lot of like the firepower, and kind of building it out in that way really complemented what I did with the Texans and the Ravens. The only issue with this is it's like you're constantly fighting with the drafting the 2 spot for Dak or Ferguson, maybe those Cowboys players. If you want to build it out around the Eagles, there is a really small chance that Jalen Hurts could fall all the way to me at 45. I'd be fine taking him there. He could go right now to the AJ Brown drafter at spot 36 or 37. I wouldn't be surprised. He does end up going ahead of Josh Allen in circumstances like this where no one pulls the trigger on Josh Allen in the 3rd round. Sometimes Hurts goes first, but he takes Trey McBride. He sticks to his guns. He's got 3 wide receivers: AJ Brown, Marvin Harrison, Cooper Kupp. So he's got his nice little Week 17 game stack with the Arizona Cardinals, Los Angeles Rams, Harrison, the Kupp. He also doubles down on the Cardinals with Trey McBride. He's really going to be looking to get Kyler Murray later. Would be a sweet pick on this team. If you're going to pass up Jalen Hurts, Kyler Murray is a way to beat the Jalen Hurts teams who are stacking up around AJ Brown. So that's a fun way to play it, I think. I ended up going a lot of Rams and Cardinals in the back end of the draft positions. If I'm drafting the 11 spot or 12 spot, I'm usually building out around Kyler. Maybe Stafford is like that backup option. Mahomes goes after Josh Allen. Zay Flowers and Derrick Henry go to Chris Olave team. Jalen Hurts goes the pick before me because the guy wants to stack him up with Barkley, I guess. That's fine though. I'm on the clock. Could go Kirk. I think I'm gonna go ETN here. Go ETN here this is a way I've really liked building out teams at the very front of the when you have like a pick 2, 3, or 4. Let me go grab my dog real quick. Heard my dog scratching at the door. She wanted to come in. when you're picking out of like the spot between 2 and 4, I find that ETN falls there a lot and can be a really sweet hero RB. Turn him into your RB1 in a squad like this where you started off with 3 wide receivers. That just feels really solid. ETN got a lot of work last season. They didn't really draft anyone who's a threat to his workload. We saw Tank Bigsby in limited action. Didn't look good. All right, McBride's gone. Kelsey's gone. Laporta went super early. There goes Dalton Kincaid. I think this is a spot where I'm going to go Mark Andrews. But let me think about this. What are the odds with pick 69 that I could get Pitts or Kittle? No, I'm taking Mark Andrews. I would like McLaurin here. Don't want to force it though. That's fine. I mean, yeah, no, this is the way to play it. I want an elite tight end. I've got my week 17 game stack now. Nico Collins, Mark Andrews. That's a sweet way to play it. I have no idea what this guy's doing from the 1 spot. He continues avoiding the wide receiver position. After he takes Laporta, he goes Lamar Jackson, and then instead of taking Mark Andrews, which he can't really take since he's got Laporta, he takes Josh Jacobs. Starting Christian McCaffrey, Devon Achane, and Josh Jacobs through 5 rounds is almost certainly going to hurt his ability to advance out of this pod. Because, I mean, even a team like mine with only 3 wide receivers, he just won't be able to catch up in wide receiver scoring unless he gets really lucky with his next 3 picks. I just don't see a way that's going to happen. You already see teams like the guy in the 2 spot who's 4 wide receivers and an elite tight end through his first 5 picks. Kind of similar to what I'm doing. He doesn't have his running back yet, but I think pick 71 to 96, really pick 74 to 98, a really solid range to grab. To grab 3 running backs out of those 4 picks. Even 119 could work out, 122 can work out. There's so many options to go running back in these middle rounds. So pet my dog. Kyle Pitts goes. I didn't think he'd come back, and there's almost no chance that Kittle would have came back either. So I didn't want to risk missing out on elite tight end, not on a day like today, where everyone's talking about those elite tight ends. Didn't want to miss out. But Mark Andrews fit with my team as well. It's generally took him right at ADP. I still have my 3 wide receivers through 5 rounds. Going to be looking to see who I can grab with pick 69. That's that same kind of range, similar to where I was in the last draft where I took Addison. We could be looking at McConkey, Brian Thomas. Very slim chance that Roma Dunze would be there, but that's a slam dunk pick. So Hollywood Brown and Xavier Worthy go. Pick 56, 57. The drafter in the 9 spot who started with Puka and Ayuk follows that, which I think is a great start. Really fun way to play it. Follows that up with Kelsey, Mahomes, and Worthy. Damn. That's a fun team. Still got a lot of work left to pull that off, though. See, I took ETN 1 pick ahead of where Pacheco goes. I'm starting to think that's more of a coin flip pick because, while I think ETN might be a more complete back, just what are the odds the Chiefs just still score more points? Probably pretty good. Similar situation though, where there's not a real threat of someone else in that backfield taking over their snaps. So ETN, Pacheco, I don't know. Who do you like better there? I could take either one. I mean, they both fit this team just fine, not for any specific reason. Kittle goes 67. He almost made it back to me. Maybe if I let Mark Andrews go, he comes there. But, I mean, I would have ended up with Terry McLaurin. And instead, I'm going to get gifted either Romadunze, Ken Walker, could still go Ladd, could go DeAndre Hopkins now that I've built out around ETN. I think that's kind of a sweet pick, actually. Let's see. I'm really tempted to go Rome. I'm going to go Rome. 10% chance Hopkins is there. Makes it around the corner. Comes back to me at pick 76. But if he's there, I'm going Hopkins. Otherwise, at pick 76, I could easily take Aaron Jones, Dean Montgomery. Montgomery gets drafted. So I go Odunze there. I think that's a great pick. I've now got 4 awesome wideouts through 6 rounds. Right where I want to be. And then Odunze just gives me one more out. Obviously, I can't draft Jalen Hurts. I could potentially still draft Dak Prescott. I'm not saying I'm going to, but with Devonta Smith, it's possible. Obviously, I missed out on C.J. Stroud and Lamar, but I could still go Burrow. Could go Bo Nix super late, but I don't love the idea of that. Planning for that already. I'll see if that could be like a backup option. And then I've got a chance to go with Caleb Williams now that I have Rome. Yeah, Hopkins goes. He doesn't make it. Sometimes Hopkins was making it to around pick 80, but not recently. I think he honestly should be going potentially ahead of some of these guys. Okay, I'm on the clock. It's Rashee Rice, which is a fun pick. JSN, which I think is kind of a reach, but correlates well with me potentially building out around Caleb Williams and Rome Odunze. Also gives me a 5th wide receiver. I've got a lot of Aaron Jones. I'm kind of thinking JSN's the way to play this. It's a little scary, though. Burned us a little bit last year. He was a fine pick last year. He just wasn't like a killer pick. So I had a ton of JSN. I think I had 19% JSN last season. And where he was going in drafts was not a good pick. Maybe year 2. He was injured, had the wrist injury going into the season. So last year. Tyler Lockett's another year older. Geno Smith kind of had a down year last year after having a really good year in 2022. His reemergence, comeback year.
Soldier boy, tell.
After I take JSN, of course, Rashee Rice goes. Then you see pretty commonly Christian Watson, Jameson Williams. Jameson Williams starting to move up boards. We saw Dan Campbell's been talking about Jameson Williams consistently in a better and a better light. We saw Coach Speak Index on X.com was talking about Dan Campbell being a very honest coach. And so when you hear him talking about JMO and saying good things, signals are pointing up. Still, I don't love clicking Jameson Williams as my wide receiver 3. I'm skeptical about him as a wide receiver 4, just like I'm skeptical about JSN as my wide receiver 4. But on this team, JSN's my wide receiver 5. So I'm feeling really good about that. Gives me one more out with, I don't think Burrow's going to make it all the way back to me. And that's fine. But if he does make it back, I take Burrow. If he doesn't, I can still get Caleb. I'm going to pin down exactly. So here's the DJ Moore drafter. Caleb's a little bit early at 91. He might look to 102, but I could grab him at pick 100, which I would. And then the Keenan Allen drafter, he's where are they? Actually right after me. So that's a little scary. They don't have a QB yet either. They could be holding out for Tyreek. Go late with Baker or Geno. So whoops. Brock Bowers goes 86. That's the earliest I've seen Brock Bowers going in a little while. So honestly, I like to see it. I want more Brock Bowers. Definitely a player I want to increase my exposure on before he starts going even higher. I mean, was it last draft he was available to me at pick 102? I think it was last draft. Could have gotten Brock Bowers at 102. Didn't fit the team that I was building out because I had already gotten Kincaid, and I needed to take somebody else at 102. I think I ended up taking... I think I took a receiver there. Jonathan Brooks off the board at 89. Definitely a player I would consider taking here. But it's Burrow, if he's there. If not, maybe Warren, Connor, Swift, then maybe Zamir White. Could take Dak, but I don't. Now that Ferguson's also gone, I wouldn't love playing it around. Oh, I'm on the clock. Sweet. Jalen Warren goes. Jordan Love goes. I'm going to take Joey B here. My man, Joey B. Hope he can stay healthy this season, and he's the QB, the pocket passing QB you need. Has a huge blow-up week with Jamar Chase in the playoffs. And we're pretty solid. We built out a solid squad. Time to start hammering running backs. Would have liked to have gotten DeAndre Swift potentially to build out my bet around the Chicago Bears and Seattle Seahawks, but not the way that it falls. Of course, Dak goes to the CD drafter, pick 95. James Conner would have been a player I really would have liked to got with my next pick. Would like to have drafted him. Sutton is an interesting play. Pollard's probably a better play. I can build out around Pollard, and I've got my Jacksonville Jaguars. You know, two running backs in the same game isn't necessarily ideal. It could still work out. Courtland Sutton's a great pick. Almost certainly the top skill position player on the Denver Broncos, and going to be playing my QB, my number one wide receiver in week 17. I don't see how I could resist that. Even though I've already got 6 wide receivers through my first 9 rounds, we'll pump the brakes on wide receiver now. We can probably cool it there, end up drafting potentially 7 would be ideal. Could still get an 8th one. Yo, what up, Cody? How you doing, my man? Let's go. Trying to rip my final Dalmatian. 9 to fill. Don't think it'll happen tonight. Bro, I was trying to fill a Dalmatian around this. No, it was around this time. Literally exactly around this time last night. I had a Dalmatian with 7 spots to fill, 5 spots to fill, 7 spots to fill, 8 spots to fill, and then I backed out of it and did a Best Ball Mania 5 instead. I actually haven't done a Dalmatian yet this year. I did a few last year. Tried to do one last night. I don't know, could get into one tonight. We've had some warm-up drafts. This is my second Best Ball Mania 5 draft, so we're getting those warm-up, those at-bats in. Pretty nice squad so far. A little bit of a very wide receiver heavy draft. Gonna have to play it real smart. Hammer running backs here on out. Started off with Jamar Chase out of the 4 spot. Nothing new there. Nico Collins, one of my favorite picks in the second round. Keep building it out with wide receivers. Take Devonta Smith in the 3rd. Travis Etienne comes back in the 4th. Mark Andrews in the 5th. Give me a little bit of that Week 17 game stacked against the Texans. I got really excited when I got Rome Odunze with my 6th pick. Feeling good at wide receiver. Allows me to take JSN as my 5th wideout. Maybe make a bet around the Bears and the Seahawks, although Caleb Williams went 1 pick before me at pick 100. So I pivot. I take Cortland Sutton, which plays back into that Burrow, Jamar Chase, Week 17, Cincinnati Bengals versus Denver Broncos game. And that's where we're at. Brock Purdy goes off the board. Jaden Daniels goes off the board after me. Tony Pollard makes it all the way to 104, 106, and then Tyjae Spears goes 107. Corum's been going a bit higher. I think it's obviously off the news that Kyron's not fully healthy, so you can expect that. And like I said, anytime you've got a big bet around the Arizona Cardinals and you're in the 12th spot, you're just going to keep hammering those players on the Rams and Cardinals throughout the draft. So pretty textbook play from the 12th spot here. Marvin Harrison, Cooper Kupp, Trey McBride, Kyler Murray, he nails it. Tops it off with a Blake Corum. The only thing I don't like about this team is the Jake Ferguson, I think. A little bit overkill. When you have Trey McBride and you've already got Kyler Murray, so then in his next pick, he takes Jake Ferguson. If I'm him there, I take another wide receiver and I go, I mean, it is a little bit of a dead zone, but you could have grabbed Lockett. Lockett is super early to take him at pick 85, so I get it. I guess I can't really fault him there. I'm going to go Javonte or Chase Brown, and it's a toss-up for me. I think I just take Javonte based off ADP, but it's honestly closer. It's kind of a close one for me. Yeah, just go Javonte here. Cool. Maybe Chase Brown makes it back around. Probably not, but you know, it's ideal to stack up skill position players with your quarterback, and there's a stronger degree of correlation there. Obviously, I'm deciding between a running back that is on the same team as my QB or a running back that is going to play against my QB in Week 17. So both are correlated outcomes, and I think the more if just because of the ADP difference, that was kind of the tiebreaker for me here, because I'm thinking there's a chance that Chase Brown comes back around, but there's not likely a chance. Oh, and he goes 2 picks before me, but I don't think Javonte would have come back around either, and I'm cool with getting Javonte 10 picks past ADP. So Gus Edwards could be the pick. I don't need Myers on this build. Don't need Schultz. Could go Wicks, of course, but let's go with Gus Edwards. I don't take a lot of Gus Edwards. Kind of a pick that scares me. I don't love. Early on, I was taking a lot of Vidal, had up to like 21% exposure. That's been worked down to I think around 16 or 14% today. Definitely was going more Kamani Vidal than Gus Edwards. I don't know. I don't love the Gus Edwards pick. Maybe it gives me one more out. I could end up taking Drake May late. Already talked about this in the last draft. Joe Burrow got a Week 12 bye. So that's the green light to take a rookie QB who, like a Drake May, who might not start the first 4 games, 6 games, but by Week 12 should be in there. So Gus Edwards might be my connection to building out around the Patriots later in the draft. Let's see how it unfolds. After I take Gus Edwards goes Jacoby Myers, Dontavian Wicks. Two receivers that I do like. I had a lot of Jacoby Myers last year, like 24%. Meatwad, thanks for chilling in the stream. Catch you next time, my man. Have a good one. Peace. Yeah, so far this draft is going real nice. I haven't seen anything stand out too much. Man, the drafter in the 12 spot, I called it almost. Like, he started really strong, but he keeps taking players like he hasn't gone back to the wide receiver spot in quite a while. Kind of got to figure that out at this turn. If he doesn't take a receiver here, I'd be really surprised. Man, he takes 4 running backs in a row. That's one way to do it. I mean, this is the running back zone. Honestly, he hasn't made a terrible pick yet. It's just kind of the combination of picks that he's making. Not taking a wide receiver since the 5th round is a little extreme. Probably not a winning strategy. Here's the last couple picks. I've continued to build out around the Bengals, the Broncos. Took Gus Edwards with my last pick. Didn't love it. Honestly, I was hoping a small chance that Jalen Polk would fall to me at 141 would be nice. Probably that player I was looking to go to next. I could go Herbert here, although I don't know. I don't have Ladd, and I don't have Palmer. Palmer's already gone. I'm going to throw up Ty Chandler. Just a decent running back depth piece. At tight end, it's too early for these picks, but I kind of think of Musgrave, Kmet, Henry, the end of a tier. Wide receiver, I go Burton and draft. So I'm limiting my options by taking another wide receiver here on what I can potentially do later for my QB2 spot. I'm going to have to build out around what I've already drafted, because I'm essentially thinking I'm done now with 7 wide receivers through 12 rounds. Yeah. Burton was a nice addition. Who knows? I don't think it's likely, but if T. Higgins is not a Bengal to start the season, there's a trade, then that pick on Burton is a little bit nicer. I know it's maybe Burton falls to me with my next pick, and I also could have taken Ty Chandler there, but I mean, Ty Chandler could fall as well, so it's kind of a toss-up. Go with a player that already stacks up with my QB1, my first wide receiver pick. Polk at 148, yeah, that would have been nice. Polk goes 138 here. I would have considered Polk for sure at 141. I usually would always take Polk over Burton, even in a case like this where I've got Burrow. I would then try to push Burton here to 148, which is probably where he should go. I just felt like with Polk being gone, good reason to take him. I miss out on running backs here though, which I kind of needed a good RB4. I'm gonna go ahead and queue up Algier. Let me go with Wright. Let me go for a little bit more upside on this pick. I don't think Algier is what this team needs. Jalen Wright just gives me a little bit more upside. Last minute decision, but Algier didn't fit right with this squad. And I think I'm either gonna play it around, well, Bo Nix or Drake May, I think. Next pick is 165 and then 172. So I'm going to go ahead and queue up Hunter Henry. I don't think he'll make it back to me, but if he does, that's my cue to commit to Drake May, building out the Patriots Chargers. Yeah. Off the Schneid says Jalen Wright was the right pick. Kind of a play on words. But I think so too. I don't really have a strong bet built out around Miami on this squad or the Browns. But at the same time, I have got nothing to do with the Falcons and the Commanders on this build. So take rookie with upside. I think Algier is more of a floor play. And I've got a pretty safe floor, I guess, with ETN. I want someone that can come in and fill that RB2 spot and swing for the fences. We'll see if Jalen Wright's that guy. I mean, there's potential that he's really getting no snaps this year. But it's a fun one. Jump back down to the board.
Soldier boy, tell.
Usually when Luke Musgrave goes off the board and I don't have my tight end 2, I get a little nervous. Oh, I just realized at the same time, I took Mark Andrews in this draft, which means I got a week 14 bye. Hunter Henry week 14 bye. I think though it still makes a lot of sense on this team, so I'm still going to go for it. If not, Hunter Henry. I like Mims better than Franklin. Yeah, Hunter Henry's gone. That's fine. Slight struggle at tight end. Also could wait on it, but go Fant. And then I could build out Geno. The risk with Geno is that, let's look at the board. Well, Gibson's still there. I might go Gibson here. Oh, Gibson's gone. I don't draft a lot of Gibson, but it could give me one more reason to take Drake May. I feel like I'm taking too much Bucky Irving. He's always there. I don't love Ray Davis. He's past ADP. Could be a pick. I think I'd rather go. If I take Mims, I don't have to, but I'd be really committing to ending up with Knicks. Same thing though. I mean, if I end up doing that with a Patriot receiver later. Let's go Davis. Keep my options open. Keep pushing it. I don't love Ray Davis as a pick. Not a guy I'm drafting a ton of. Feels fine as a RB5 on this squad. And I'm pushing those Denver wide receivers. I'm going to make someone else draft them if they want to. Otherwise, at 172, it's a little bit more attractive to me. But it really commits me to down the path of potentially taking Knicks. And I say that because I'm just running out of spots to take wide receiver. I could honestly stop at 7. I could still get Knicks. It would still work out. So it makes me think maybe I don't do that. Could be a spot to take the tight end. Let me go ahead and look at Geno's. I think the move is to commit to Geno here. Since I do have JSN, I do have Ramadunze for bring back. I've already got 7 wide receivers. I don't necessarily need another one. I could still get Knicks later on. I've got that built out. But if I go Geno, it gives me an excuse, a reason to take Fant with my next selection, which is actually going to be pick 189. You know, does Fant make it there? Maybe. Geno's by week 10. I think Geno is fine with Burrow, but this is the potential type of build where I do look at 3 quarterback. 3 quarterback, 2 tight end, and if I stick with 7 wide receivers, I can get that 6th RB, which could be good on this squad. More of a hero build out. Still got Javonte for some upside. A little bit of value on Gus. Some rookie upside here. I mean, this running back room could stand on its own, so I've got a lot of options. Let's flip to the board with what I can do with my last couple picks. I don't really feel pressure anymore to worry about QB. Just got to find that right tight end that's going to fit with this team, with this squad. Fingers crossed Noah Fant comes back. I've got some other ideas if not. Here we go. Troy Franklin and Marvin Mims are off the board. My wide receiver room is so strong. I still see some upside, of course, with Franklin and Mims. I was weighing on Mims. I had 20% Mims last season, maybe even higher. And they would still give me some upside, but my wide receiver room is so strong. I've already made the bet on Courtland Sutton. I don't need those 2 players. If anything, they just kind of dilute the strength of my wide receivers by allocating too much capital to it when it's already probably in that top draft capital bucket for wide receiver, considering I went my first 3 picks. And then if Rome Odunze is the guy we think he can be, if JSN has a breakout year 2, then I'm really solid with those 5. Otherwise, Courtland Sutton is not a bad 6 to fill in for Jackson Smith and Jigba and Rome Odunze if they're not really taken off early. Courtland Sutton, yeah, there's some QB kind of a mystery going on. Who's a starter? Assuming it's Bo Nix. I think the only downside is Russell Wilson was throwing a ton of touchdowns last season. At least he was throwing enough to Courtland Sutton to make him relevant. 8 TD catches. I'm not sure how many of those came after Wilson got benched, but man, Jalen McMillan goes pick 181. Respect. And this drafter in the 12th spot ends up with Matthew Stafford. So after skipping out on wide receivers for what looks like 7 rounds, 8 rounds, he follows it up with Michael Wilson, Demarcus Robinson, and Jalen McMillan. Honestly, very interesting build. Kind of like it. Noah Fant goes. Total bummer, considering I committed to Geno. This is where I need a tight end. I don't love going Johnny Smith there, but I did take Jalen Wright a bit earlier. A little bit of a team bet on Miami, but anytime you've got Miami skill position players that aren't named Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Devon Achane, Raheem Mostert, if you don't have one of those 4 guys, it doesn't feel great. So just some depth, some upside. For tight end, we're just throwing it out there. Could have gone Jawan Johnson. Definitely get him into value here. He'd expect to be healthy by week 14 when Mark Andrews has a bye, but just having him miss any time at all is going to be a big downer. Let me go ahead and take a running back here so I can leave all the options available to me as my last pick. There's definitely some guys I like. Could be a Clyde team, could be a Foreman team. Were there any Bears left? No. I feel like I don't have to take Tracy. Yeah, go ahead and take Foreman. think that's fine there. I've been mixing in Foreman a little bit to start this summer. Hadn't been taking him much lately. I'm not super convinced that he's going to have a great role in this offense, but he's done it before, so could be just fine. Get a little mini there with my Jonnu pass catcher. Bring back Week 17, Miami Dolphins, Cleveland Browns. Donta Foreman. Plus, I don't like any of these running backs really in this range. I think Roshan would have been someone I would have liked to draft. Mitchell is just fine. Not sure how else I could have played this. Maybe go tank there and just dominate Jacksonville's backfield and get that covered, but didn't feel like I had to do that. Looking at my bye weeks, surprisingly nice. Only 2 week 12, 2 week 14. What up, Raphael? Yeah, man, still alive. It's time to draft, man. It's Friday night. I'm into it. It's been a long week. Here we are. Time to catch up on some Best Ball Mania 5s. In fact, I think I'm going to do one more draft after this draft. Keep it going. Pumping out the content. Hot Best Ball Summer's underway. It was hot out there today. When I landed in Houston today, it was like 90 degrees when I got in my car. So it is hot Best Ball Summer down here. Cool, Malik Washington goes. You don't always see that. Is that the Tua drafter? No. The guy who doesn't have Tua takes Malik Washington. That's strange. But maybe he just knows something we don't know. Maybe he likes Malik. I was drafting some Malik Washington on Tua teams before the Odell signing. But now when you have Jonnu Smith typically available at the end of drafts, I feel like you don't have to take Malik Washington. Raphael, my man, thanks for being in the stream. Hope you're having a great Friday night, wherever you are, how late it is. Friday night's like my favorite night, just to stay up late, whether I'm drafting, catching up on streams, catching up on shows, building out something for either fantasy football research reasons or like building up content for this kind of stuff for my live streaming. Friday night's just the right time to do it. Have all this extra energy and excitement going into the weekend. You know, sleep is for the weak. Sleep when you're dead. Draft now. But at the same time, like, I've already got everything taken care of around the house. Everyone's asleep. Did the dishes. Did the laundry. Time to draft. What do you think? I think this is the spot to go Knicks. You go Knicks here. Fire. Hot girl summer, more like hot best ball summer. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. For sure. Okay, real quick look. Final look through. I don't think so there. Boom, it happened. I mean, could have gone Gesicki, honestly. Gesicki might have been the play. Skip Jonnu, take Gesicki. Either way, you know, skip Bo Nix. I don't know. I don't believe in Gesicki. And we just saw the... Oh, that was quick. We just saw the Bengals. Yeah, Best Ball Mania 38. Number 38. We just saw the Bengals draft 2 tight ends in this last draft. Not just one. 2 tight ends. So I have no confidence in Gesicki. I don't click him hardly ever. Maybe I've got him on 1 or 2 teams. I'd be surprised if it's more than that. Let's review and take a look and recap this squad. We just drafted from the 4th spot before we get into one more draft for tonight. Keep this thing rolling. Yeah, this is it's been 2 hot best ball summers back to back. It was definitely a hot best ball summer last year too. And I feel like this one's even more fire. You see the mainstream fantasy football, the redraft coverage, podcast, content getting more and more into best ball every year. You'd love to see it. This squad is a 3-6-7-2, which is a very interesting build and one that I'm prioritizing. If you have pocket passers, get 3. Stick with 2 tight ends, especially if you have 1 elite. If not, get 2 tight ends in the middle. I don't think this is the year for late tight end to work out. The late tight ends are few and far between. And who knows? 6 running backs is fine. 7 wide receivers is great, especially when they're correlated up as much as we got them in this draft. Jamar Chase, Nico Collins, Devonta Smith. Love that start. Travis Etienne is a fun pick. Mark Andrews. So already you've got Nico and Mark Andrews, week 17 correlation. Can we build out around Jamar Chase? Yes, we can. But before that, dropping in Romadunze, JSN, give myself some more outs later. Almost grabbed Caleb Williams at pick 100. That would have been sweet. That's kind of the way I was intending to play this. 2 QB, Joe Burrow, Caleb Williams, but that's not how it fell to us. So pivot, take a Cortland Sutton, come back with Javonte Williams. We're going hard on this Bengals Denver week 17 game. Gus Edwards is where we started to pivot and potentially think, hey, could this be a team we built out with Drake May? I mean, I think Justin Herbert was still on the board as well, so could have taken Herbert there at 141. Didn't feel ready to commit. Ended up going with Jermaine Burton. Also could have been a pick there if Jalen Polk had made it back. That Gus Edwards, Jalen Polk would have been a great combo to launch into getting Drake May late. Polk was gone. Took Burton over Herbert. Who knows? I didn't want to take Herbert. I thought about it for a second. Without McConkey, without Josh Palmer, it's kind of hard to play naked Herbert. Finish it up with a couple rookies and Jalen Wright and Ray Davis. Oh yeah, and then the 6th running back was Donta Foreman. Didn't love that pick either. Didn't love the Johnny Smith pick. Kind of wish I either would have waited and if Juwan Johnson would have fallen to me, or if I would have grabbed who was it? Oh, well, Gesicki, but I hate Gesicki. Gesicki could have been the play. I don't really take a lot of Gesicki. Could have gone. No, I think it ended up being fine. I don't see any picks that went between my Johnny pick and my Foreman pick that I prefer. So because I stopped at 7 wide receivers through 12 rounds, which is a pretty impressive feat to pull off, I ended up taking 6 non-wideouts my last 6 picks, and it worked out really nicely. Get that Bo Nix, because I already had Cortland Sutton, Javonte Williams to bring back with Burton, Jamar Chase. There's the squad. 3, 6, 7, 2. And that's the way I like to play it. I want to build a little bit more 7 wide receiver teams. The only way you can do that confidently is when you go hard on wide receivers. I had 7 through 12 rounds. That's what it takes. Cool. Let's do one more draft. One more best ball Mania, the 3rd one of the night.
Soldier boy, tell.
Let's kick it off. Waiting for 9 people. If you're in the chat and you want to draft BBM 5, be my guest. You can draft against me. You can chill in the chat and draft with me. Talk through these picks. I'm going to grab some water. Let's space out. Be right back. Still waiting for 8 people. Wow. Yeah, Cody was right. He was saying he was trying to fill his Dalmatian and just wasn't getting there. Oh, and just like that, he jumps in. And I saw it as soon as I saw his chat come through, waiting on 7. So he's in the draft. Yeah, let's see how long it takes to fill. Honestly, if it doesn't fill the next few minutes, I might just do... I don't think I have any slow draft picks to make. I've been really avoiding the slow drafts this season. I did a lot more slow drafts last year, and I don't prefer them. Yeah, right now, only 2 slows. I finished up like 3 or 4 slow drafts in the last 24 hours. Some of these hounds. This one's they're both hounds. Cody, I don't know if you were here earlier. These are my albatross. I've got 2 out of 4 potentially advancing, fingers crossed. Got a 3rd one in 2nd, could convert to an advance. It's 1 out of 6 advancing. Round 3 of 4, make it to the finals after this US Open. I'm hoping to get 1 team through. If I get 1 of these teams through, I'd feel really good. If I get 2 through, I'd be ecstatic. If I get 3 through, I don't think it'll happen, but that'd be pretty crazy. And then I've got Pavone on these 2 teams right now. I think my Pavone exposure was around 30 or 40%. I forgot how high it got. I walked it back down a little bit towards the end of the drafting of the Albatross, but he was a guy I was way in on. And then when he won at the whatever tournament that was, I already forgot. It was in California. Yeah. Let me show you one. Let me check this draft real quick. Let's see how close it is. 6 out of 12 filled. Let's dive into these Albatross teams. Just check them out. Yeah, this top one I think is my best one. It's going to be, and the cool part about it, it's a John Rahm team who is withdrawn from the US Open, right? Of course. So if this one advances, I'm carrying John Rahm into the finals, where a lot of these Rahm teams aren't going to potentially make it if they don't have the firepower in the back half of their roster to get through the US Open without your top pick, right? John Rahm was going 102 or 103 in almost all drafts. Colin's not really doing anything for me right now. I don't think Spieth is necessarily going to come through, but I've got DeChambeau, who has a good shot of pulling out the W. Exactly. Yeah, free in the Open Championship, exactly. Finau is putting up some numbers. I was kind of surprised by that. I need to go watch some more highlights to see what Finau is up to. Boys, Tamin Wu Lee with 35 points on the board. That's like my lowest score. So if he can really keep that going steady, could help me out a lot. Adam Scott's decent. Corey Connors is a big number for me and also is unique in my pod. I don't think anyone else had Corey Connors in my pod. And then Pavone, and he's my ringer right now. So that's a squad. That one I'm feeling very good. There's a chance that we advance, although there's 2 teams that are close by. So yeah, if that one gets to the finals, if that Rahm team gets to the finals, I'd be really excited about that. Drafted on 219. This is another one that I feel pretty good about because I've already separated from the pod just a bit. Plenty of time left Saturday and Sunday, but I'm up by about 30 points. And this one is pretty standard start, Xander and Colin. Also got Bryson. I had a Bryson on a lot of my teams, which I feel good about. Burns putting up some numbers. Henley putting up some numbers. Matsuyama, I think he's pretty common in this pod though, but I've got him. Siwoo, I think if I remember correctly, was doing fine, but he's not hitting my scoreboard yet, which means I think he's in that low 40s or high 30s range of getting Sam Burns to contribute over Siwoo, but something he could pull through, finish strong. Let's see. And of course Pavone. So that one feels good. If both of my Pavone teams advance, I'm gonna be really excited that I was so on him during the draft season. This is Xander Cantlay team. Should be just fine. I think we're in the midst of it, but the team in the 1 spot who's advancing right now is a little bit stronger. We'll see how that goes. I'm excited. I did I've been into fantasy golf for a while, but this was the first best ball season in fantasy golf that I went hard, where I did a bunch of albatross, did a bunch of scrambles. None of my scrambles worked out so good. The scramble is a much different tournament. I was prepared mostly for the albatross, and then I tried to play the scramble more like a traditional best ball draft, just like ADP value and taking the players that I thought were the best players. But that's kind of the approach you should take for the albatross, and the scramble is much different. You really have to weigh the schedule for the scramble. I mean, if you guys out there have played the scramble on this site before on Underdog, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. But essentially, the albatross is the 4 majors, and so you concentrate on those best golfers in the world who are going to be playing in the majors, as many majors as possible. You want them in all 4, but you get to a point in the draft where you're taking guys who are in 2 or 3 of the majors, and then also they can qualify for the majors later in the season, because the draft, of course, is before the season starts. So, or before the first major for the albatross, at least. Yo, Davis. Picks. Bro. It is late. It is super late. We're on our 3rd Best Ball Mania draft, and it won't fill. So we're talking golf. We're teeing it up high. We're letting them fly. Thanks for being in the chat, for saying what's up, Davis. Good to see you, man. I caught you drafting some Dalmatians the other night with Pat, the Pounders. That's what's up. I was telling Cody, it is so late, but you're on the West Coast, aren't you? I tried to fill up my first Dalmatian draft last night, and I was in the lobby for like 45 minutes, almost an hour. Didn't fill. Ended up doing a Best Ball Mania 5. This is my 3rd Best Ball Mania 5 of the night on stream, but we're still waiting on 4, and it's been a good amount of time. So yeah, just reviewing those albatross teams I have, hoping some advance to the finals would be pretty sweet. Last year I didn't go so hard into season-long PGA on Underdog, but I did some, and I did the Pup Cup, which was the end of season FedEx Cup playoffs best ball, which I think is really fun. And I think I min cashed the final in that one, which ended up sucking, but was cool. It was still fun. I only had drafted like 19 teams, so I got them through. I did a bunch more of those. This was my first. Last year was like kind of my intro into doing some season-long best ball for PGA, and then this season I went pretty hard, like I said. Hopefully get some of those albatross through, because my scramble teams dried up. Don't have any scrambles making it to the finals. Waiting on one more person. Hell yeah, Raphael says he's in. Let's go. And Davis says, even if I had a ghost account, I couldn't afford to draft. I've been in more expensive, useless. I've been in a more expensive, useless hobby. Yeah, I know what you're saying. All right, let's get in this draft room. Davis is drafting with us in spirit tonight. Got my boy Raphael in the 1 spot. We got Off the Schneid in the 5 spot. Well, this name looks familiar, but I can't put together exactly who that is. A-Run 22-18-3. I feel like I definitely know who that is, though. I'm in the 10 spot. It's about time. I got the 4 spot and the 6 spot in the previous 2 drafts, so working out of the back end this time. And then Abstract was the guy in our 12 spot last time, so he's out here drafting in multiple rooms. I don't think any of these other names were particularly in the same room before, but Abstract was. I think he was that team in the 12 spot that we kept looking back at that was going with Kyler and Stafford and building out those Rams and Cardinals. What's Raphael going to do? Is he going to go CeeDee Lamb? Oh, yeah. Okay, I missed it. That's what Cody said. We're filling it. Joining your Ghost account. It's still late, even on the West. Yeah, it's not that late. Come on. It's Friday night. 11 p.m. on a Friday, West Coast time. That's not bad at all. I've been on West Coast time all week, so I'm definitely feeling the energy. I just got back to Houston today, so I've been out of town this week on the West Coast. So just getting back. I was kind of on the fence between if I was going to commit to Central Time or Pacific Time on my trip, so I'm kind of in between. But definitely feel like I still have energy. This will probably be the last draft of the night, considering how long it took to fill, how late it's getting. And, but yeah. So Raphael takes CMC with the first pick. Pretty standard stuff, except again, we see Amon-Ra go early. Amon-Ra went early in my first draft, allowed me to get Justin Jefferson at the 6th spot. And then last draft, I actually had the 4th spot, and I took Chase. Golf? David says, I wish I knew how to golf. That would be cool. Is golf more expensive than maxing at multiple best ball tourneys? It just depends. Just depends. The last round I played on a municipal course. It's $50 a round. Was pretty reasonable. It was a nice course out in Fort Worth that I played the same weekend during when they had the Colonial event, the Charles Schwab Challenge at the Colonial Country Club, which I went to on Sunday. It was sweet. Ended up getting this nice hat. Forgot I was even wearing it. A little Charles Schwab gear. Got some nice swag, got some shirts. Hung out on Sunday, stalked #free Scotty Scheffler. Stalked Scotty Scheffler across 18 holes. Finau was there, Fowler was there. Fowler had a bad day. And that's talking golf. Yeah, for me, it's just the expense of, I already have clubs. I do need to get a new pair of golf shoes. But those are, I was looking at some, they're all right. Need a new pair of shoes for sure. Golf balls are pretty expensive actually. I mean, when you lose them at the rate that I do, man, Josh Allen going in the 13th overall, Mike Evans 12 overall. That's a very interesting start from the 12 spot. Something I was talking about in the last stream, it's like for time capsule drafts, you know, you can go Gibbs. I've taken Nico twice tonight. Let me go Gibbs this time. For like a time capsule draft, you could reach across a round to get a more unique combination with your starting picks. But in the Best Ball Mania, it's going to be open all summer. Maybe you don't frequently get the chance to line up Mike Evans and Josh Allen with picks. With Mike Evans with your 2 or 3 pick, and then getting Josh Allen all the way back to pick 48 in the 4th round. But I think you're sacrificing a lot when you take Mike Evans and Josh Allen there. I was getting carried away. Almost, I wanted to take Puka. I shouldn't have let the clock run out. But then on Gibbs, I was contemplating going with my boy Nico there. Let's mix it up. We'll go Gibbs. I'm going to go let the dog back out of the room. Be right back. Anyone else got a dog that constantly wants to go in, out all night long? She sleeps in a different room every 2 to 3 hours throughout the night, just patrolling the house, room to room. I mean, she does that all day too. All my dog does is sleep. Sleeps all day, all night. Puka and Gibbs. Let's check back in with Cody. Off the Schneid, Jamar Chase, and Jalen Waddle. That's a real solid start. 2 players, huge upside. Always a good thing to start with 2 wide receivers at this point in the draft. Yeah, Tyreek Nico's another great combo. Amon-Ra Ayuk's a great combo. I'm pretty jealous. That's the thing. Anytime you take a running back and you deviate, it's just not as exciting. Getting Puka, Marvin Harrison would have been cool. Even Puka and Nico Collins, in my opinion, is a great start. Jahmyr Gibbs obviously could be that guy, but now we're going to have a little bit of playing catch up. Hope the board falls to us with pick 34 and 39. Let's catch back up with the chat. Yeah, golf is expensive, long story short.
Soldier boy, tell.
Yeah, off his night, he's a good golfer. He's got a nice bag, got some nice clubs. Man, the way they advertise those new tailor-made drivers, it's like very tempting. But my clubs are about 10 years old at this point. Yeah, my clubs are definitely 10 years old at this point. Davis says 11 p.m. is all in. I'm glad you've committed all in. You're here tonight, hang with us, pushing your bedtime later. Thanks for being in the chat, man. Hope you're having a good day. Hope you're looking forward to a fun weekend. I've got some fun weekend plans. It's gonna be pretty chill though. Chilling with the fam. All right, our guy Raphael goes McCaffrey, Cooper Kupp, and Pittman. It's a very interesting start. Very interesting. Cooper Kupp has been going a bit higher, and Pittman could give him a way to potentially grab Anthony Richardson if he wants to, which I think is a really fun start. Achane goes all the way at pick 28, so we've seen Achane go all over the place tonight. But the first thing you notice when you look at this board, Josh Allen at pick 13, Mike Evans at pick 12. Pretty unique. Pinball machine ownership, in the meantime, it's one of the goofiest money sinks. Yeah, a lot of repair goes into this pinball machines is what I'd heard, but those are really cool. Davis, what kind of pinball? What's the theme? Is it Simpsons, if I had to guess? Star Wars? There's so many different themed. There's a bunch of Indiana Jones themed pinball machines. Okay, do I go Laporta here with since I have Gibbs and Nakua? I think I'm just gonna go Flowers. I could go Dell. Let me go Flowers. I like Flowers just fine. Something might work out here. I don't think I'm gonna take Lamar though, is the thing. And because, well, let's just see what happens. Almost 0% chance Dell comes back around, but that would be ideal. And I don't think I would take Henry there because I already have Gibbs. Catch up with the chat, see what's going on. Raphael wanted Allen at 24. I mean, Josh Allen's a great pick. 13 might be a little bit rich, but historically, amazing pick. Almost certainly a top quarterback. Every season he's healthy, right? So Laporta goes 36. I think that's fine. We were seeing Laporta going closer to the start of the third round last month. This month, back into the third round. So Josh Jacobs, I don't think is the right pick there, though. It's the right pick for me because I'm kind of hoping Tank Dell falls and Abstract doesn't take him here. Go ahead and cue that up. I did cue that up. Otherwise, nice. He goes Kelsey. The door's wide open for me. I don't want Hurts yet or Lamar. I'm good with Gibbs. I think this is a Dell pick. I think it's pretty obvious. Could go. I mean, Trey McBride, also a decent pick. It is. Today is the whole theme of today is elite tight end. Let's go Dell. Get our third wide receiver through 4 rounds, which I typically like to have. Whoops. Davis says, I know nothing about golf, but I did volunteer for Players Club for TPC Sawgrass. Oh, nice. When it was in the service. Nice. Yeah, man, for sure. And ended up being meeting a bunch of famous golfers and getting some autographs. Those golf tournaments are fun. That's the Texas Children's Open here in Houston. It happened to be Easter weekend, and I was out of town doing family stuff that weekend. I would have liked to have gone to that event. Maybe, potentially even volunteered it in the future. Could be fun. Volunteering would be a fun way just to get to experience some of it, and maybe even get some additional perks, like you said, meeting some of the players. Davis says he's very curious what Mike Evans' season is going to be like. He's priced about right, but we're chasing last year's stats. 100% agree. I mean, what are you going to do? Mike Evans, he's so consistent. 1,000-yard seasons, multiple touchdowns, usually on the high-end side. I think his ADP is accurate. I mean, obviously he goes in the 12th spot here. It's kind of crazy, but definitely curious to see how Mike Evans' season turns out, how the Baker Mayfield experiment season 2 in Tampa Bay turns out. I think Baker kind of came into a good position. You never want to follow up Tom Brady, but at the same time, you saw his press conferences going into last season. He's like, hey, I know what I got to do here. I just got to be me and focus on my game. I'm not going to be Tom Brady and replicate what he did. I think he put together a pretty nice season for the Bucs. I don't know that Baker can repeat that, so that makes me a little bit more afraid about Mike Evans. Also, you have a guy I really like coming out of Washington, the Huskies, Jalen McMillan. I don't think anyone is a threat to take over Mike Evans' role, but just another factor to think about. If anything, Chris Godwin's at jeopardy, I would think, or maybe they play Godwin more in the slot and they could throw McMillan out on against the boundary. We know McMillan can play all over the field, so dang, drafter in the 3 spot gets a really nice start here, one that I'm really jealous of. Tyreek Hill, Nico Collins, Malik Neighbors, then caps it off with an elite tight end, Mark Andrews, and gets Lamar Jackson to fall to the 5th round. Holy. Raphael's got a nice squad. He does take Anthony Richardson with his 4th pick. I like that. Pair him up with Pittman. Grab that stack, and then gets a falling Trey McBride at pick 49. So he gets his elite tight end. Paired him up with Cooper Kupp. It's a really good start there. Off the schneid. He starts off with 4 really strong wide receivers. Love the Terry McLaurin pick. And then catches a falling Dalton Kincaid. Another great start. This is, if we look at what running backs are available, I think this is just right. I think this room has been pretty on par. I'll use another golf reference there, except for what's going on in the 12 spot. Everything else looks pretty solid here. The draft right in front of me, though, with this whole A.J. Brown, Saquon Barkley, and Jalen Hurts stack is a little bit... It's not even that unique anymore. We kind of see that often. He goes Kyron, he gets Jaden Reed. I've officially missed out on elite tight end in this room unless I take Kittle. If I look at the board, though, the drafters after me already have tight end. I'm going to push it. I'm going to take either Worthy or Cook. I think I go Worthy here. I could take Stroud, too. Let me go Worthy. If I don't get... I'm almost certain to get Kittle on the way back. If I don't get Kittle, I'll go Stroud. I think that's the way I want to play this. Kittle gives me a nice bring back with Jamar Gibbs. Also gives me a potential out later to draft Purdy, which I'd have to do it a little bit early. At pick 106 or 111, because Purdy has that ADP today at about 112. So, I mean, that works out well. I think that could be ideal for my first QB. But if for some strange reason Kittle goes, I could obviously take Stroud and just commit that way to the Texans. Dell, Zay Flowers that I built out. Honestly, might not be a bad idea even now, but I think I can make up for Stroud with another pocket passer, maybe Purdy a little bit later. But I don't think I can replicate the George Kittle ceiling with the tight ends that are going to be available, picks 182 and later than that. Bowers might be the guy, you always take a shot there. So that's just another way to play it. Could have gone CJ Stroud, committed to that, but be a little bit riskier at the tight end position. I feel better risking it at the quarterback position and keep on building out around these pass catchers, see what happens. Obviously, Mahomes is already gone, Lamar is gone, now CJ is gone. I don't know if I want to play it around Jared Goff when you only have Gibbs and you don't have Laporta or Amon-Ra. Puka gives me a way to go down the Sam, Matt Stafford. I don't know why I was saying Sam. The Matt Stafford route, or could play it around Kyler. Kyler is a quarterback. I am not as worried if I miss out on Marvin Harrison and Trey McBride. Just do some kind of skinny stack with Kyler. Hope he gets there with his legs. Maybe take someone like a Michael Wilson. You could even do like James Conner or Trey Benson and just kind of bet on the Cardinals a little bit. Not 100% sure yet. We got a few ways out. The cat does the same thing. Yeah. Animals. They get in their ways. Yeah, Davis, he was saying, I'm just catching up with the chat. My dog was going in and out of the room. He's saying his cat does too. Meow. If Mike Evans and Baker end up being 2016 Brandon Marshall and Ryan Fitzpatrick, yeah, it's an interesting one to think about. Them on the Jets, right? So a little bit of a revitalization of the Brandon Marshall career. Under 2% Evans, says Off the Schneid. I think he's at the tippy top of his value. Hard to click for me right now. Makes sense. I don't think I've drafted enough Evans to be kind of around 8%. I think I'm a little bit underweight. Davis says, I think he's priced right in the 20s, given what the wide receiver market prices are and uncertainty. Yeah. When you look at it, where Evans usually goes, around here, the 1-2 turn, or even just before that, totally fair. In this draft, Devontae Adams goes in the 3rd round, Malik Neighbors goes in the 3rd round. Those are players that I like in the 2nd round, or at this turn as well, right there with Mike Evans. But Evans has a ton of upside, no doubt. Huge ceiling. Pinball machines. Davis started with a Halloween theme, nice. So that's like Michael Myers, and then sold it. Right now he's got a Roller Coaster Tycoon. Oh, nice. Is it actually like Roller Coaster Tycoon, like the PC game version? That would be sick. Jurassic Park is a sick one. And a dialed in. getting Elton John soon. That's fun. I really like the pinball machines that there's like Elvis ones, Elton John ones. I've seen Boston. I've seen a Boston pinball machine themed one that was cool. Those are fun when you get them like they're like themed after like a band. Movies and bands. I guess video games too. I like the Brian Thomas, DeAndre Hopkins pick is a good 1-2 punch combo that usually goes in that spot. I'm on the clock here. I'm not going to force the Kyler pick. I think it's too early and I don't have to commit to that. Could go Stevenson or Jalen Warren. Wide receiver is all but dried up. Do I take Jameson here? I don't take a lot of Jameson. It feels just about right. It kind of fits with what I'm building into with Gibbs and Kittle. Let me go ahead and keep pushing running back. I'll take Jameson Williams here. Kind of in a good position, like I was saying with my last draft, where I ended up taking JSN as my wide receiver 5. I think that's what it ended up being, right? The last draft, JSN wide receiver 5, feels good when you've really got a lot of strong wide receivers 1 through 4. You can afford to take a riskier guy with your 5th pick. If Jameson Williams is my wide receiver 3, I'm terrified. Wide receiver 4, I feel a little bit better. Here as the 5, there's no downside, all upside. So now I am thinking more about coming back and getting Purdy at pick 106. The only thing is he's got to make his way past the Ayuk team, the Deebo Samuel team, the McCaffrey team with Raphael. He's already got a quarterback, so potentially he doesn't look there. Back on the clock. And Ramondre's still there. Question is, do I go Jalen Warren? Line him up with Worthy? I think I'm just going to take Ramondre here. Brock Bowers is another fun click. Let's go Ramondre. Nice. So yeah, I almost took Ramondre over Jameson. And Jameson's kind of like that hot guy right now for wide receivers in the middle of the rounds. Like, he sometimes does go well before Cortland Sutton. You don't always see him go before JSN, but high risk, high reward. When you've got your wide receivers built out, you can take a guy like Jameson Williams with your 7th overall pick and not really worry too much about it. Especially since I know I'm going to be hammering running backs rounds 8, 9, 10, potentially looking for a quarterback to fit in somewhere around there, whoever falls to us. Now that I've got Jameson Williams, I feel a little bit better about actually pivoting to Goff if I miss out on Purdy. So that's another reason why I look to take him there. Raphael says he likes the 5 and 7 spots right now. Yep, that's off the schneid. Drafted from the 5 spot. Built out a nice team. He's gone pretty hard on the 0 running back train. And the 7th spot is the Bijan team. Just an overall nice build out with some Chicago bets. Anytime I get T. Higgins, I typically don't take Joe Burrow. But I can see how at pick 90, it makes a lot of sense. I'd prefer to have Burrow on my Jamar Chase teams. Brooks goes at 92. Warren goes at 94. I think both viable to be your RB2. Same thing with Ramondre, James Conner. I'm still high on James Conner. Raphael says he would have liked to get T. Higgins or Amari Cooper. He had to settle for Anthony Richardson and Trey McBride, which works out nice. Follow that up with Deontay and Christian Watson. I think you're solid. Nothing to worry about yet at wide receiver. You're getting your 4 top wide receivers through 7 rounds. It can totally work. Devin Singletary and Brian Robinson. When you're at the turn, Sometimes you got to get your guys. You don't always get the value to fall to you. I like those RBs. Brock Purdy does go to the Debo team. I pretty much called it, so we're going to pivot. Look to go maybe for Goff a little bit later, which would be pick 130. Do I want to wait that long? Kind of have to, but there's the Amon-Ra team. The Laporta team's after me has Dak and has Josh Allen, but the Amon-Ra team is way up here. Luckily took Jordan Love, so might not feel the pressure to go with Goff, but at the same time, he's got David Montgomery. He's already built out around Brandon Ayuk. He probably would have taken Purdy at the same time after going Love. I don't know who he matches up Love with. Let me make this pick. I'll catch up with the chat. See what's going on. Brock Bowers is there. I might just take him. I don't love Javonte. I don't need another Denver Javonte pick right now. I'm kind of thinking I might have to go Goff a bit early just to ensure I get him. But I think I want to take a running back on the way around, on the way back with my next pick. I think I'm going to try to wait on Goff. It's getting risky, though. It's getting late. I hate pushing quarterback this much further. Bowers, awesome pick. 106. Hell yeah. And here's what I honestly think. Even if you have an elite tight end, Bowers is like that ideal tight end too. It's tough to be able to afford it. I've had to sacrifice QB to be able to afford this tight end to Brock Bowers where I've got him. But if anyone's going to outscore Kittle or another elite tight end in the playoff weeks when you need it, hey, isn't it going to be Brock Bowers? Why not? Could also now go with Adonai Mitchell for a little... Well, no, that's... I'm thinking of a different bring back. I'm thinking of last year's game. Probably don't need to go wide receiver just yet. Super young, talented squad at wide receiver. Make this next pick, catch up with the chat. What are we going to get here? Pick 111? It's going to be a running back, isn't it? Either that or I just take Jared Goff. If Javonte's there, it's kind of a sign to take him. So... just going to confirm real quick. There's no one else I need at any other positions. Fingers crossed Jared Goff comes back. If he doesn't, I can pivot. But it'd be nice to get him. I'm going to go Javonte. See, I kind of talked myself out of Javonte with pick 104. But that's because it was a trade-off of getting Brock Bowers. At 111, I'm even more open to getting Javonte there. It's fine. It's a 0-3-5-2 build through 10 rounds. Not typical to be without a QB this late in the draft, but it's not a deal breaker yet. Still a few outs we can make happen. I'm not convinced Jared Goff's going to make it all the way back. I'm pretty certain the drafter who took Amon-Ra is going to take Goff. If not at 117, almost certainly at 124. So I'm already kind of planning ahead on my next move at quarterback and how we can and land this plane and finish this out. We got some pretty strong draft picks in my skill position players through 10 rounds, sitting on 3 good running backs, 2 awesome elite tight ends, and a bunch of young, talented wide receivers: Puka, Zay Flowers, Tank Dell, Xavier Worthy, Jamison Williams. So this one's up in the air. We'll see how it kind of finishes out. Raphael had wanted Brian Thomas Jr., Ladd, or KW3. Yep, Ken Walker. Davis had said the new Elton John one just came out at the end of last year. Oh, sweet. You need to see that shit. It's insane. Bro, post it on Twitter. I'll catch that. I like pinball machines. A bunch of my buddies who live in Austin, there's this arcade, It's called Cidercade, and it's in East Austin, and they've got a bunch of pinball machines, and I think they run off of, some of them still run off of, like, I want to say it's quarters, but it honestly might be nickels. But then they have other ones you just kind of swipe a card thing, but it's like an adult arcade. It's pretty cool. We did it the end of last summer, so it's been a while. But and then another time for one of my buddies, like bachelor weekends before he got married, he rented a ranch house out kind of in between Houston and Austin. And this ranch house had pinball machines, sick surround sound speaker setup with a record player, 3 different jukeboxes that were all like classics. Really fun setup. Huge plot of land with like a lake and a pool. So we were chilling all weekend, playing records, putting on music, playing pinball. It was sweet. So yeah, I was trying to think back. I think one of those was Indiana Jones. Man, this draft is going legitimately fast. I feel like my picks are going in quick succession. Fingers crossed. There's a certain player I want. Made it past the Amon-Ra drafter. I think it's going to work out. The moment of truth. For sure. Yeah, I was probably too high on Mike Williams last year. I mean, he looked good in the limited amount of time he was healthy, but he's not getting any younger. I've loved Mike Williams as a fantasy asset in the past, and I'm not in on him this year as much. I just think it's tough at I think it's age 28, age 29 season. Coming back from an ACL, new offense to learn, new quarterback. I don't believe in Aaron Rodgers. I had 0% Aaron Rodgers last season. I just got a little bit lucky that he got injured. But I was a huge Aaron Rodgers fan throughout his career, and I just think you got to call it at one point. And last year, when Aaron Rodgers was closer to retiring than actually playing for the Jets, I decided to go out on him. Pretty much where I'm still at today. One of the reasons why I'm fading Garrett Wilson a little bit and the Jets in general, except for Brees, I'm getting just at market, taking Brees when he's there, 8%. Plus, I like Brees. I had Brees on a lot of teams last year. He's probably more quarterback proof though. This is a spot where I'm looking back to wide receiver. We just took our first QB, Jared Goff, pick 130. Adonai Mitchell would have been a sweet pick. He's gone. Pick 135 and then pick 154. I mean, I guess I take Khalil Shakir here for no other reason than it's a great ADP value. Maybe he works out. I'm trying to think if there's anyone else I need to take. Pick 130 something. I'm good at running back for a while. Could reach on Pearsall or Polk. I don't think I will. I'm going to go Shakir here. Definitely good on tight end in this build. Flip it back to the board. Off the Schneid has continued after he finished taking Brian Thomas, DeAndre Hopkins, and Jonathan Brooks. He grabs Jaden Daniels to go with his Terry McLaurin bet. Love the way that's stacked up. Watch out for that mouse sensitivity. It's kind of quick there. Also grabs Tyjae Spears and Jerome Ford. I think he's got Waddle too, huh? So Ford's a good pick. Yeah, building out a really nice squad there. Our guy Raphael in the one spot was able to grab Christian Watson. Then he went Devin Singletary, Brian Robinson Jr. Take Xavier Legette at pick 120. It's a bold stance. I like it. Legette's a guy I try to fit in on the right squads. And then Zeke at 121. Looks like a pretty strong running back room. Another good squad. I'm honestly surprised Jared Goff fell to me. And then what's Khalil Shakir doing? I mean, this is where I would price Khalil Shakir. pick 130 to pick 140 feels about right. And so, obviously, when you have a Josh Allen team, you miss out on Dalton Kincaid. You're going to end up reaching on Khalil Shakir, like pick, 100 to 110 to 115. But this is where he probably should be going, or even later. I'll get a little bit of value on him here. I was kind of due up for a wide receiver. Doesn't really fit into my squad that well, except for the fact that, I'll get some AFC East correlation with Ramondre at the least. Tua goes 140. Great grab on that one. Stacking him up with Waddle. Tried to push Burrow. It happens a lot. Yep. His pocket passers like Tua, like you just pushed him all the way to 140. I think it's a great move, especially when you already have a QB. Then it's not make or break when you're pushing that QB2. It's a pocket passer and trying to get a great value on him. Raphael wanted Connor back at 96. Yeah, I do like Connor in that range a lot. It's hard to get him there. Connor ended up going at 88. Slightly a riser. Trey Benson has never really taken over a backfield in college, so why would he do it at the NFL level? James Conner was pretty great last year. Had some rushing yards over expected. Still looking good. Yeah, love to. I know, Davis, right? There's a huge recency bias, right? Last year, Connor is, he's old. He's potentially washed, yada, yada, yada. And there wasn't even that much competition, that he was facing, right? This year, people are higher on James Conner. Although I need to check. I don't exactly remember where we were drafting him last year off the top of my head. I'd have to refresh to see. But it feels pretty comfy where he's going right now. Feels like a good pick. RB2, RB3 on any team. I'm up next. It's going to be pick 154 and then pick 159. Could definitely look to either wide receiver or running back here. All the wideouts I wanted are pretty much gone. Is this a Ray Davis team? I don't even like Ray Davis. I'll take him though. Rookie upside, running back 4, no bye week issues, back-to-back Bills. The Bills are still a good team. Invest in some of their young talent. Why not? Why not? I don't know what it does for this team exactly. There's no wide receivers there that I like. Pearsall and Polk were gone. Stafford was gone. Potentially a pick I would have taken. We're going to have to pivot for this QB2 selection. Could be a 3 QB build. Need to keep my options open at wide receiver if that's the case. Don't love my options right now. All of my QB outs are gone except Minshew, yuck. Knicks. Probably not enough just to have Goff and Knicks. Could get May as well. If I take Burton, it helps me get Knicks later. Or I could take Roman Wilson and go for... I've got a week 5 bye, so now I'm a little bit scared of both of those options. I'll just go ahead and grab Burton there. Honestly, not my favorite way to play it with the QB this time. Flip back to the board. Something I was talking about earlier in the stream. When your QB1 has an early bye, like Jared Goff here, week 5 bye. Jalen Hurts, week 5 bye. Not the best candidate to pair up with one of these rookie quarterbacks like a Drake May or even a JJ McCarthy or potentially maybe even a Bo Nix. who might not be starting in week 5. I have a little bit more confidence that Bo Nix, I think he's going to be starting by week 5. Drake May, who knows what the Patriots are up to. I would expect him to start, but you don't know that that's going to be the case. And taking a 0 at QB would be really bad for getting out of this pod. Unless the team is just on fire and going to finish 100, 200 points ahead of everyone else, then taking a 0 at QB for 1 week on a bye early in the season isn't going to matter. But I like to play it a little bit closer than that, because I think over a sample of 150 teams drafted, you might have multiple occasions where you could run into that situation. And so just don't want to repeat the pattern of making a mistake, drafting 2 QBs, and one of them not even starting when your first QB's having his bye week. Sounds like a bad situation to be in. I reflected on some of my Best Ball Mania drafts last night, and a bunch of my Jalen Hurts teams have JJ McCarthy as a QB. So if he's not starting by week 5, it's going to hurt. My ways out of this, probably Bo Nix. I've got Javonte, I've got Jermaine Burton. I could take Drake May. Not as confident he'll be starting by week 5, like I said. I would have taken Roman Wilson. Could have built out something with Xavier Worthy. Taken Justin Fields late, but I'm not even sure that Justin Fields is a good bet to start by week 5 over Russell Wilson. So at this point, Conklin not coming back to me. That's why I took him. Yeah, Conklin at 145. If he's your guy, if he's your favorite tight end too, I think that makes sense. I'll probably be a little bit underexposed to Conklin. I think he's just fine. I'm just not big on the Jets this year. ADP is about the same from the past 2 years for Connor, but sentiment is different. Yeah, for sure. I thought so. I thought he was kind of going in that range still. Makes sense. The sentiment's very different. It looks more attractive when, hey, Kyler could be healthy. They've invested, Arizona Cardinals have invested a lot of early draft capital with Marvin Harrison Jr. at wide receiver this last season, Trey McBride a few seasons ago. So, and then they also get
Soldier Boy, tell.
They also get Trey Benson this last year, adding to the offense. So all of that might be a better environment for James Conner to continue to score touchdowns, which is what you need from James Conner for him to pay off. Ray Day. Yeah, I know. Ray Davis twice. Back-to-back Best Ball Mania 5 drafts. I take Ray Davis, a guy I hardly ever take. So I guess I'm just feeling it today. It's a late rookie pick. Round 13's late enough. Just go for upside. Take a rookie running back. Why not? Troy Franklin would be interesting here. Helps me out a little bit if I do go with Bo Nix. Getting him at a little bit of a value. Obviously, I don't need a tight end. Just looking to see if there's any other ways to uncover a path to a different QB. I think Nix is going to be my guy. Could obviously take Braylon Allen here. Let's see if he makes it back to us with the next pick. I think Braylon Allen would be a really good addition to this team. But I'm going to take Troy Franklin. Kind of secure my pass catcher on the Broncos before it gets too late. Marvin Mims already went. I honestly would take Mims ahead of Franklin. Higher draft capital. Already has a year under his belt. Starting to get some praise from the coaching staff. They want to use him more. They got rid of Judy. Mims is an outside receiver. I guess Franklin plays the slot then in the situation, but I thought Franklin played outside as well. Had Oregon. Franklin's not a guy that I'm super keen on. I don't really draft him a lot, but I'll make it work here. And I have not the most faith in Jermaine Burton and Troy Franklin to contribute whatsoever, but at least at the end of the season, there's a chance they'll be on the field. Maybe they make some plays in a few games that really counts. I've already got my core wideouts built well ahead of time with, I'd took 4 wide receivers the first 5 rounds. So the Jameson pick, the Shakir pick, Burton, Franklin, all upside. You hate to see it. Braylon Allen does go pick 182. Would have been fun to get him there. A lot of players I like still left. I think what I do here is go running back. I can take Tracy, Herbert. I take a lot of. I'm going to go Herbert. I'm going to go Mitchell. Okay, I got Herbert. Either way, Mitchell might come back. The only reason I threw Mitchell in there is because of the little bet I've got on the 49ers in Detroit, where I took Kittle. I've got Gibbs and Jameson. So potentially taking Elijah Mitchell there gives me a little bit of leverage against Raphael in the one spot who took McCaffrey. But I like Herbert too. I think Herbert actually is going to have a role on the Bears offense. As my RB5, I think that's a great depth piece. I never ended up doing too much with Puka, so a little bit of regret there that I didn't go far harder to build out something by either getting James Conner, Trey Benson, or just even getting Matt Stafford late as my QB2. So slight regret there. I think Puka on his own might need some support. Also, by taking Khalil Herbert, I'm slightly risking my next pick to get Bo Nix. I don't think it's a huge risk, just a slight risk. I don't know what my backup is going to be if I don't get him though. Usually I've got a few other outs. This time it's slim pickings. Might have to go Minshew Mania, which could work out just fine. Honestly, that's, if it ever was going to work, it would be this one. I don't think there's any Saints players left for me to draft that I'd feel good about, so maybe I end up going with something crazy like a Jamal or a Cedric. I don't know about A.T. Perry. I don't really see it happening. David says his biggest issue with Connor this year is that the offense is or should be more efficient this year. They won't have to give him 25 to 31 touches. Yeah, they've got a lot of their good options. And, you know, two ways to look at that. They've got a lot of other good options. They don't have to rely on him as much. Or the offense is just better. It's more efficient. They put themselves into more scoring opportunities. They get more first downs. They score more touchdowns. And he's there to benefit from that. So rising tide lifts all boats. Or is it that now there's just so many other good options, ways for Kyler to get the ball out, that they don't have to use James Conner as much? I could see both situations pretty plausible. All I know is Cardinals are a team. I want some players on the Cardinals across my drafts. I think definitely a team to invest in. I'm not sure if I'm going to take another wide receiver. I could be done here. Holy shit, Minshew goes. Why does Minshew go? Is it Kobe Myers' team? Zamir White team? I guess it's Patrick Mahomes, QB2, QB3, Stafford. I don't get it. I don't get the Minshew pick there. I'm not torn up about it. Like, I didn't have to get Minshew. Could have been nice if I was going to go 3 QB. I'm also realizing drafter in 12 spot, who started Josh Allen at pick 13, has 4 QBs. Took Dak, Baker, and Bryce. So probably, I didn't realize that right off the bat, contributing to a little bit of this QB famine. Why all these QBs who typically go in round 17, 18 are going around 16 and 17. Yeah, he took Bryce Young from Raphael. Terrible. Hate to see it. Davis says, Gabe Davis, baby. Yep. Another name. I'm in on the Jaguars. Okay. This is where I take Bo Nix. I can't trust these guys to not take Bo Nix. I think Bo Nix will start week 5. If I look at the other quarterbacks who I could take, I'm not going to take O'Connell. I don't think I want to take Taysom. Carr, I don't really have a way, with Carr being my very last pick, I don't have a way to get there for him. I do have the Bowers bring back, but I don't have a pass catcher on the Saints. So it's going to be a 2 QB build for sure. Question is, do I need another running back? Because I took Javonte where I did, I'm going to commit to 5. No, I can go 6. Let's just check these bye weeks. Week 14 buys. I got 1, 2, 3 out of 8. Should be fine. Week 12 bye. 2 out of 8. 6, 2 out of 8. We're good. We're good there. Unless there's a lion that I need. Like, I don't think I take Raymond. I guess I could. What about San Fran? There's nothing there, right? No. Stick with Kittle. Let's look at the Broncos real quick. Maybe it's a situation where I go Estime. Take over the Broncos running backs that I think have the best chance of having an impact. Could play it that way. I mean, it kind of screws me on week 14 a little bit more. Let me count that up real quick. I would have 3 running backs to cover, 2 running backs in a flex spot, and I would have 5 wide receivers to cover. This could work. I could take Estime. Check the Bengals. Yoshivas, I don't care about. I'm going to go with Estime, I think, on this squad. I think that makes sense. I don't always take 2 running backs from the same backfield. In this way, I get some rookie upside. I could have stuck with 5 running backs. I didn't need a 9th receiver. Didn't need a 3rd tight end, and there's no viable QB3 option for me. Let's see how your guys' drafts end up. The last picks in round 18. Davis says, I'm hoping Bo Nix pops off, but I'm betting that way I would be drafting Sutton. If I'm betting that way, I'd be drafting Sutton. Yeah, I'm not afraid to draft Sutton. I think Sutton is a decent, valuable pick where he goes. He usually goes around pick 100, between 90 and 100. I think he easily could be going him and Lockett. And in this pick, of course, he goes around 80 in this draft. But I think that's more appropriate. So I think the last draft I got Sutton at like pick 102. So I've now taken Bo Nix in back-to-back drafts. Go figure. A Jared Goff, Bo Nix, 2 QB build is not my favorite. Kind of the way the cookie crumbles. Let's jump back into these results. Our 39th Best Ball Mania, 3rd one tonight. Thanks for being in the draft. Thanks for chilling in the stream, saying what's up in the chat, chilling with us tonight, vibing, getting the Friday going with some drafts, getting the weekend started. Oh, damn, sorry, Raphael. I just saw your chats. I had to play catch up. Let me throw the board up. We'll see how it finished up for everyone. Because I know Cody went up with Jalen McMillions, McDonald's, McMillan, one of my favorite picks. Great click there. Tyrone Tracy, hey, why not? You know, could be somebody. I don't know who to believe. Eric Gray, Tyrone Tracy. I know that when Devin Singletary gets in a backfield, though, he's been known to take them over, so a little bit of toss-up, rookie upside pick. AJ Barner. That's a wild pick, Raphael. That's a deep one. That's a deep track. Taking Javon Baker at a good value there. Grabs Justin Fields, which I think is a great pick there, too. I mean, why not? The AJ Barner pick. Very interesting. You don't see that every draft. You also don't see the guy in the 12 spot. Took 4 QBs. I can already see 3 tight ends before we get to Laporta. So 4 QBs, 4 tight end build out of the 12th spot. Very rare. Let's see. And then Raphael was saying, should I take Jake Bobo or AJ Barner? I would have said Bobo, I think. If you're in that situation where you want one more Seattle pass catcher, but I mean, who knows? AJ Barner's interesting. If you didn't get Fant, which obviously he got sniped from you, Fant has had opportunities to do it in the past, and he hasn't been that guy necessarily yet, although he's been pretty decent yardage-wise. Maybe Barner does something more explosive. Yeah, for sure. We'll definitely get to the team rating. Yeah, and Cody's fragile at running back, but if my wide receivers can get me through the pod to be in business, for sure. Odd build for me, strange but fun room. Yeah, that 12 spot was really weird, huh? Needed players to fall. Barner's a backup for Fant. Yeah, and I know what you're doing there. You're playing a little bit of leverage off of not getting Fant, which it seems crazy with a name like Barner, but think about how people do that all the time with Isaiah Likely and Mark Andrews builds. Isaiah Likely gets, and say that 3 times fast, gets drafted literally every single draft, even though he's a handcuffed tight end. So I don't think it's impossible. Let's do the team reviews. I'll do y'all first. I'll do me last. Let's do Raphael. Thanks for being in the chat, man. Thanks for chilling with us on this Friday night. Anytime I see a team that starts with Anthony Richardson, I automatically get interested. Geno Smith, solid. And then Justin Fields, another solid pick, because you're just increasing your ceiling play with the Justin Fields. And I think you get your bye weeks covered. It's a good quarterback room. If you're playing from a 3 QB build, I like it like that. I think 5 running backs is the way to go anytime you have McCaffrey. So I like this room, especially waiting to around pick 100 to get your 2nd and 3rd running back. Grab Zeke, grab Chuba, 2 veteran players, put in the work, get the touches. I think that works out for you. Wide receiver, go Kupp, Pittman stacked up with Anthony Richardson. Deontay Johnson's in there. I want to get more Deontay Johnson. 72 might be a little bit rich for my liking, usually why I'm not getting him, but totally has an opportunity to be that wide receiver 1 on that offense. And if Bryce Young takes a step forward, could be cooking with fire. Christian Watson's a fun pick. I like that. Xavier Legette. And I now get what you were saying is you really wanted Bryce Young to fall. 12 spot drafter sniped him from you. Hate to see it. Could have worked out nicely though. Ricky Pearsall is a fun pick. I've got a lot of exposure to Pearsall. I think I need to dial it back a little bit. And then Javon Baker, nice slight value. Finish out your wide receiver room with 3 rookies. You take 7 guys overall. I like the way that looks. At tight end, you go Trey McBride, giving yourself a nice Week 17 Arizona Cardinals, Los Angeles Rams bring back against your Cooper Kupp, who's your top wideout in this team. Conklin, get your guy at tight end, and then AJ Barner to give you a pass catcher that stacks up with Geno Smith. It's a good squad. 3-5-7-3. That's how I like to play it too. It's always fun to build out something different around Christian McCaffrey. That's a fun one. Let's look at Off the Schneid's team. He went super heavy early on wide receiver. Ends up with 3 quarterbacks. Man, a lot of 3 and 3+ quarterback drafters in this room. No wonder I got squeezed out at QB. It's like my pet peeve this season has been getting squeezed out at QB. Happened again tonight. I ended up honestly doing just fine getting the value on Goff, but then couldn't really make something happen for my 2 and 3 quarterback spots. Ended up just taking Nix. I don't think Goff Nix is enough to get me there, so I'm a little bit skeptical about how my team turned out. But let's look at this one. Jaden Daniels, fire. Tua, pick 140, and on a team where you have Jalen Waddle, fire. Will Levis, a lot of upside there. So, and especially when you already had that Jacksonville Titans bet that you were building out. Excuse me. Raphael says give it a 7 out of 10. Didn't like it. I think it's pretty fair. I'd give you like a 7.5, maybe even closer to 8 if we're getting really granular with the voting. I think 3-5-7-3 is a good way to build it out. Needed players to fall. Yeah, that's what happens with the corner picks, though. When you're at the 1 spot or the 12 spot, you get screwed on value a lot of the times, and you get sniped a lot. Later, Davis. Thanks for chilling in the chat. Have a great weekend, man. Send me a picture of that pinball machine at some point. Thinking Gerald Everett for Week 17 bring back. Yeah, that would have been wild, too. Another tight end that actually is pretty talented. Could honestly be getting drafted more than he ever does. So I could see that. But in the right circumstance.
Soldier boy, tell.
Davis says, I think the QB tight end talk is very underrated in the elimination rounds. Yeah. 100%. 100%. 2 tight end, non-mid, non-elite is a death sentence. I would argue the same for 2 QB that isn't double mid or better, a death sentence also. Yeah, that's why. And we'll finish looking at Cody's team here off the Schneid. That's why I didn't like my team. I think it's almost a death sentence getting the shitty QBs that I ended up getting, but that's the way it rolls. Jaden Daniels, Tua, Levis. That's a good QB room. It's good enough. Jonathan Brooks, Spears, Ford, Dowdle, Tracy. Like I said earlier, when your running back room is your weakest position group, it's kind of how it should be, so I feel good about that. It does feel a little bit weak today. Maybe tomorrow in the future, Jerome Ford, Dowdle, Tracy have a more defined role. It could look really good, and I think Brooks is a great pick, so. When your wide receivers are this strong through your first 6 picks, it's going to be a good squad for sure. I like the way that lines up. Jamar Chase, Jalen Waddle, stacked. DK Metcalf, Terry McLaurin, stacked. Brian Thomas, bring back. DeAndre Hopkins, stacked. Jalen McMillan, rookie upside, great late round pick. Dalton Kincaid, a fun one. Ben Sinnott, stacked. And then Jonnu Smith, stacked up. So, yeah, this is a good looking team. I like it. Let's go to my team. I don't love this team. Davis is 100% right. If you can't compete with the top teams in your pod at quarterback, you're not going to make it through. I don't think this team makes it through. What we need to make it through on this one is Bo Nix to start essentially the whole entire season. Give us some of that rushing upside that he showed at Auburn back in the day. And then also have some of that passing upside he had at Oregon. And really surprises everyone and comes out as a better QB prospect than what the NFL told us he was going to be. He was kind of a consensus second-round pick. He goes in the first round. There's a big run on quarterbacks. I don't have a ton of confidence in Sean Payton in Denver this year, so looks to be one of the lower scoring offenses. We really need Jared Goff to have a year. The problem is I don't have Jared Goff's top 2 pass catchers. I don't have Amon-Ra. I don't have Laporta. So I end up with a pretty bad QB situation. Kind of sinks my team here a little bit. Would have been nice to get Purdy. I think I pushed it just a bit too far. The running back room looks just fine. Jamar Gibbs, Ramondre Stevenson, Javonte Williams. Good 3 running back base. Upside of Ray Davis or Audric Estime. And then Khalil Herbert gives... I think Khalil should have a nice role on the Bears. The Bears should look a little bit better with Caleb Williams under center. So, not my favorite running back room, but I think that would work. The wide receivers, honestly, just a little thin. Puka, Zay Flowers, Tank Dell, Xavier Worthy. You look at that and there's a ton of upside. If this is a dynasty team, you'd be in love with it. But for best ball for next year, and then Jamison Williams, I had the freedom to take JMO and Khalil, Burton and Franklin because I felt like my first 4 receivers was a solid base. But after comparing it to off the Schneid's team, I don't feel like it's quite as strong. So I think this receiver room is probably like bucket 2 draft capital. It's decent enough, but it might not be the best. But then we have top of the chain elite tight ends. The theme of the night, theme of the day in fantasy football, Twitter, best ball community. We're all talking about elite tight ends. Who's elite? Is Brock Bowers elite? I think he could be. He's definitely one of the elite prospects. And on a team with Kittle, If this team does advance, makes it through, which I don't think it will necessarily, but who knows? Having Brock Bowers could be that extra punch I need to get past the other Kittle teams, or this combo works out and these tight ends just really smash. But tight end's not going to be enough to get you there alone. Would need some big seasons from these RBs to carry me when my QBs are this week. It's a fun room. It's a fun draft. It's just one more Best Ball Mania 5 draft. I'm going to keep them going. Check in with the chat, see what's up. Bindle's popped in. He's been here chilling. Probably been here the whole time, but he's just saying what's up late night. Yeah, man. Third draft done. So it was a good run. I don't think we could have filled a Dalmatian. We'll have to check back in tomorrow to see if we could do some Dalmatian drafts. Raphael says people like Elijah Mitchell as CMC replacement or backup, but if he goes down, Purdy will start to sling it, which is why I like Pearsall. Yeah, and also, what if Debo or Ayuk gets traded? Pearsall then has contingent value on that. And apparently a lot of people like Pearsall in college too. I wasn't really watching him at Florida, but Sean Payton QBs usually get good points. Yeah, hard to say though. He's had Drew Brees most of the time. But no, I totally get it. And then Off the Schneid says the QB box out was real. Felt I hate to go with 3 after I couldn't push Burrow and T-Law. Yeah, you zig when they zag. Yeah, exactly. When you had to. You had to go with 3. I was trying to go with 3. I don't think I could have made it work that late in the game. I was banking on Minshew and Bo. Could have worked for me. Minshew played into Brock Bowers. Overall, though, when I missed out on Purdy, I kind of was feeling the pressure at QB. Jared Goff falling kind of saved it, but I still don't think it's enough. But who knows? That's the way it goes. Thanks for chilling here tonight, drafting with me. Appreciate you guys spending some Friday night with me and checking out the stream. Please hit the like. Make sure you're subscribed. Turn on notifications if that's what you're into. You can catch me going live. My schedule's pretty ambiguous at this time. I usually go live late at night. Definitely on the weekends when I can fit it in, and then during the week when it makes sense for me and my schedule. So catch y'all in these best ball streets again soon. Looking to stream again tomorrow night, I think. And yeah, everyone have a great weekend. Get it started right. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.